later, there was some, popping sounds that were going off. There were about maybe 6 or 7 to 8 shots that were happening. No, none of us really registered at the time. Then people were saying, get down, get down. Even I was saying, get down. Other people were saying, get down as well. And, we were all praying. We were praying to Yeshua, the Lord Jesus, and we were praying to him to keep us safe, keep us protected. But unfortunately, what happened was, someone did get shot. What I do hear is that 2 people did get shot, that's to the best of my knowledge. And I believe that, the former president, which I'm glad that he is safe. So.
Now, Leonard, and again, we don't have all these things confirmed yet, so, this is your perspective here, but when you say that you believe that 2 people were shot, could you actually see people, potential victims?
What I've seen, and to the best of my knowledge, sir, is that, and again, I was hearing it from other news sources as well, but what I personally seen, that there was blood on a couple of people. Someone was shot just like about 5 feet right behind us, to be honest with you, so we were that close. And thank God we weren't shot either.
And where were you located? We're looking at the video right now. This is the former president being brought back to his feet after those shots were fired. Were you on the stands behind Donald Trump, or were you in front of him?
If you're looking exactly at him, we'd be on the left side, actually. We were the left side of the other stands, where you've seen those big TVs.
So left side of the stands facing the president or behind the former president?
Facing the president. We were more on the side, looking on the side of the president, so facing him.
Leonard, let me just ask you too. Obviously, we've been talking about this, the division in this country, the polarization. But here you are. Obviously, you're exercising your right to support whichever politician you believe in. And you go to an event like this, you don't expect there to be violence. What's in your heart right now?
Well, what's in the heart right now is I'm encouraging the American people to pray to Lord Jesus, because right now our country's divided.
Again, those words from some of the witnesses that we heard from throughout the hours this evening who were there inside this venue in Butler, Pennsylvania. The event was supposed to be sort of a precursor for the big week at the Republican National Convention. Former President Donald Trump had been hinting that he was going to announce his running mate in the coming days. So all eyes were on this event when the gunfire rang out. And then those terrifying moments, and these images you continue to see here with the former president being escorted off the stage with the blood trickling down the right side of his face. The former president in a statement, once again, saying that he was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear, and he immediately knew that something was wrong when he heard the whizzing sounds and the shots. Some of our other reporters getting information from law enforcement that they now confirmed that the shooter fired as many as 8 rounds from an AR-style rifle while perched on a rooftop adjacent to the venue. The shooter was 200 to 300 yards away at the time of the gunfire, and that shooter was shot and killed by the U.S. Secret Service. We know at least 1 spectator, possibly 2, were shot and killed. One of them we know was confirmed dead. Another one had sustained serious injuries. We're still waiting to get more information on that. Law enforcement also unable to tell us at this time what the motivation was, who the shooter was, whether it was a man or a woman, and whether the threat fully has been neutralized, or whether it was a lone actor. So still so much information that we need to learn throughout the course of the evening and in the coming days. Well, let's go back to our entire team who've been with us on the air for several hours now. John Carl is in Milwaukee because that was supposed to be the location for all the news this week at the Republican National Convention. John, you've been talking to Republican sources there. In fact, you were in an interview when reports of these shots first came out.
I wasn't in a formal interview, but I was standing on the floor of the convention with the person who was running this convention, Michael Whatley, the chairman of the Republican National Committee. We were just talking about the big week's plans ahead, speculating on when Trump will actually make the announcement of his running mate when this news broke. And as you can imagine, shockwaves throughout the hall. Nobody really had any idea yet what had happened other than those initial reports and that shocking live video. He took a call from one of his aides and was whisked off the floor to try to figure out what was going on. This has effectively put a freeze on the campaign, at least for the moment. And it's not just here in Milwaukee, where although the convention is starting on Monday, you are already seeing Republicans from across the country gather here. In fact, there was supposed to be a big welcome reception tonight. As you can imagine, that has been canceled. All events, the pre-convention events, have been canceled. Over on the Democratic side, we've heard from the Biden campaign that they have stopped outgoing communications. They say that they are working to pull down all of the political television advertising, all the political advertising that is up as this campaign is effectively put in a state of deep freeze. And then we're hearing statements across the political spectrum, I think most prominently from former presidents, where we heard from President George W. Bush, who said that Laura and I are grateful that President Trump is safe following the cowardly attack on his life. He commends the Secret Service, obviously, as somebody who was also protected by the Secret Service. We heard a similar statement from Barack and Michelle Obama, a similar statement from Bill and Hillary Clinton. We've heard statements from the president's allies and from his political opponents, all saying that violence has absolutely no place in American politics, uniformly condemning this. But I have to also say we are starting to hear some very unfortunate signs of efforts to politicize this horrific event.
That's right. And we noted before, this will be a big test to see how the country responds, politically and in living rooms and workplaces across this country. John, thank you so much. I do want to hear from another person who was there at the event, witnessed the gunfire. Rico Elmore is joining us now. Rico, if you can hear me, just tell us where you were when you first heard the shots.
Thank you so much, and also fully respect that my prayers go out to the family when it all occurred. I know it's very rough. So I was positioned probably about maybe 20 feet away from the president at the point in time when he was making his address. I was to the right of the stage due to me being I was a speaker at the event. So I did my speech earlier today during the pre-program, and I was a few feet from where this all occurred. We heard the shots, and I thought it was, first thought it was fireworks because, people were on edge, and any kind of loud boom you hear, I think gunshots are new, especially because of the environment of what was going on. And I turned around and someone yelled medic, and I looked and there was no way the medic could have got to that person in time. So I left my seat, took my tie off, I jumped over the barrier, and I ran to the individual. But when I got there, it was too late. The person was bleeding out from their head. And like I said, once again, respect to the family, because this is a very tough time. But they were shot, and I tried to, block the move. I held a towel against him, and until medical team arrived, they got him out. And, from there, I helped the police and crowd control with getting people out of there because people were very nervous. People were very hesitant, and we had to move people fast and get them into a safe location, opposite of where the shooter was at, or said to be at. So I assisted with getting people down and getting people out. And I try to keep kids calm and just get people clear.
Wow, Rico. Obviously, we want to be sensitive to the victim's family. But can you tell us more about this person, where they were? Was it a man? Was it a woman?
It was a male. It was a male victim. He was literally just sitting there in the stands. He had to be maybe 3 or 4 rows up from the bottom of the bleachers where everyone was sitting. And 1 second, everyone was cheering and happy and listening to what Trump's saying. The next minute, he's gone.
Rico, did you have any training in this sort of like first aid? I mean, this is life-saving aid that you're describing here.
I mean, I'm in the military. I'm in the the 171st Air Refueling Wing. And, we learned first aid and self-aid buddy care and basic training. And, at the point, as soon as I heard the shots and I heard someone yell medic, my first instinct was, I'm trained in self-aid. I'm trained in applying a tourniquet, but I'm not trained to see someone's, what I witnessed.
I mean, nobody can be trained for that. And we're getting the sense, Rico, not just from you, but from others, I think there's going to be some serious time, some healing that's going to need to take place for the people who were there and saw all of this, and especially for you to see everything up close. And you got the sense early on that that this person was lost.
From understanding head wounds and how they operate, when I seen what I seen, I was afraid that person was lost. And reading what has been done and said and stated in the news so far, those are not facts, which is a shame.
Enrico, I don't even know if these are the right words to ask this question, because most people have never been in this situation, but how are you processing what you saw and what you witnessed?
I mean, one can only process what happened, hopefully as slow as possible. My worry, my heart at this point in time is not for myself, but it's for the families of a loved one.
Rico Elmore, thank you again for your time, and I'm sure the family is grateful, at least at your efforts, that you jumped in and you did everything you could to help out. And of course, our hearts go out to all the victims and you as well. And we're thankful that you're okay and able to share your story. Thank you very much tonight.
Thank you.
Again, that's one of the many witness accounts that we've received from Rico Elmore there. Really horrific in how this played out. These terrifying and chaotic moments that people described for us. And it went from jubilant people in the crowd, eager to hear from the former president, to within a matter of seconds, the pop, pop, pop that people thought at first maybe sounded like fireworks before the horror of what actually happened came into focus. Let's go back to Martha Raddatz. Martha, I know you've been talking to sources here, and I gotta say, just it's one thing when we get the reports from law enforcement, but when you hear from a witness who witnessed someone die before their very eyes, it's a reminder of just how horrific and historic this event was today.
And how tragic. And I think most of us just saw what happened to former President Trump, and we're all thankful he is okay. But what happened in that venue, and hearing the story of that young soldier or military person leaping into action, which is not a surprise, going there for a jubilant celebration and having to deal with that kind of tragedy is sobering to us all. I do know that the weapon that the shooter apparently used was something that could be fired from 200, 300 yards away or even more, and could have been accurate. He very well could have shot more people. He very well could have killed former President Trump, even though he was 200 or 300 yards away, because that kind of weapon has that kind of range. We don't know yet whether he had a scope on that weapon or any sort of scope whatsoever. But even so, even just with the naked eye, he was clearly shooting within range of President Trump.
Yeah, still so many questions about how this played out, who this shooter was, the motivation there, and where the investigation goes from here. Martha Raddatz, as always, thank you. Let's go to Josh Margolin, one of our senior investigative producers, who's been getting new details from law enforcement. Josh, what are you learning?
Where the key part of the investigation will be on looking at where the shooter was, elevated position, as Secret Service staff confirms. elevated positions have long been perceived by law enforcement as a real risk to events, to people that gather. Look, just in recent years, we saw the Highland Park, Illinois mass shooting on July 4th, 2022. That was a shooter who was at an elevated position. Of course, the Las Vegas massacre, the worst mass shooting in American history, that was with a shooter who fired down from an elevated position on the Las Vegas Strip. And obviously, we can't forget President Kennedy was killed by a gunman who was located floors above the motorcade that Kennedy was in when he was assassinated. Elevated positions are the Secret Service prepares for this. So a key thing is going to be, how did this gunman get to the location? Why was that location available to that person?
Exactly. And I think obviously this is early on, and it's hard to ask some of these hypothetical questions now. But Josh, like all the surveillance and the scanning of these areas that go into place before the event even occurs, and the drones and the helicopters and devices up above, it's hard to imagine how something like this could have been missed from 200, 300 yards away on a rooftop elevated position. That will definitely be part of the investigation going forward.
Absolutely. And in fact, the Secret Service has already gone public during the January 6th committee hearings. There was testimony about the Secret Service. They know that people that come to Trump rallies sometimes come carrying weapons, not necessarily because they want to hurt anybody. People carry weapons, but you're not allowed to bring those weapons into proximity of the president, of the former president, of the candidate.
Josh Margolin, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Let's go back to Rick Klein, our political director, Washington bureau chief, who's there in Milwaukee. I just want to get more on your response, because it is hard to imagine how this week of the Republican National Convention is going to play out, business as usual or as planned. What are you learning about some of the adjustments or changes that could be made in the coming hours?
I was told just moments ago that there are no changes to the convention itself, but I would note that there is precedent for condensing a convention in the event that you need to. There have been times where major storms, either in a convention city or elsewhere in the country, have forced the cancellation of one night. There is plenty of wiggle room in a schedule like this to be able to do the convention business in fewer than the 4 nights that are now scheduled. But I am told that things are still on track as of this hour, although things are changing fast. But I would mention, just to understand what a convention is like, it's not just what goes on inside the arena itself. That's the main convention business. We're talking about dozens, maybe hundreds of other events throughout the weekend. John Carl's been reporting about things that are canceled tonight. Well, tomorrow night, there's a 15,000 person open air welcoming party for all delegates and invited guests. That is an enormous event, and it's an enormously hard event to secure. Similarly, you've got talking about breakfasts that happen around the city in hotel ballrooms and private residences. So many opportunities to worry about the security footprint that involve elected officials, maybe even the president himself, or the former president, or his vice president's running mate might be slated to attend things like this. So you have to think about not just the event itself, which is still on, but everything surrounding it. This was a city that was ready to celebrate this moment. It is now a city that is worried, concerned about this increased threat environment.
Rick Klein, thank you. Let's go back to John Carl, also there in Milwaukee. And John, picking up on that point, because this is not just known threats with security, right? It's anybody who could be motivated. We've talked about lone wolves and that threat in the past. It's somebody who may see an event that they saw and then be inspired to do something that can be almost impossible to plan for, especially when you have large gatherings of lots of people.
Yeah, and look, this was already a place that was going to be in lockdown for the next week. I mean, I am here just outside the convention center hall, and you can see, I mean, you can't see, but I can see right over here the fencing that has been put up to basically secure this place several block radius.
Don't die, how are you?
Basically,
hey.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay. I'm going to turn my camera off.
That's fine.
Yeah, girl, my hair look all real messy and everything, so I don't want the people seeing me with the messy hair.
Where you calling from?
From Broussard, Louisiana.
All right, what do you have to say about the latest events?
Oh my gosh, I'm like in shock. But you know what, Queen? Just 2 days ago, I know my husband's at the hunting camp, and I know he's going to say, are you psychic? Just 2 days ago, me and him was talking, and I told him, I said, I would not be surprised if somebody don't try and put a hit on Trump. And look what happened. Me and my sister and my brother-in-law was eating at a restaurant a while ago, and there was on the TV over there. And we were like, what just happened? And so people sitting next to us had said that somebody tried to shoot Trump. I said, oh my God. Hey, I mean, it could happen. It could happen. I mean, they ought to know. To me, don't have that man or anybody, even Biden, anybody out put some bulletproof glass or something up around these people, Oh, Lord.
Well, you also have to know that Trump is alone with whatever the setup is. So you don't have to be a part of anything that you don't want to be a part of.
That's true. You're right about that. Oh, yeah. You're right, Queen. You're right.
And I don't think people realize that you're going to have structures next to another structure. So if somebody wants to get to you, they will make a way. And that's what this person did.
Yep. They will find a way.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. And then they had one person shot.
Yes.
And two other ones, I think, were wounded pretty seriously. I mean, I just don't know what to say. I mean, it just, oh boy. Well, they better make provisions. That's all I got to say. If he plans on rallying somewhere else, him or Biden, they need to make provisions for these presidents to make sure nothing happens to them. Look what they do with the Pope. The Pope comes to town. He's not going to be out in the open. They're going to have him in a glassed area, bulletproof glass.
What do we have? Do you think he should continue running in the race? After this?
I don't know. To be honest with you, Queen, I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, in a way, yeah, but then, I don't know. Maybe not. Right now, I just don't know what to think.
Okay.
I really don't know what to think. I mean, it's really starting to, my sister works at the voting polls, her and her husband. And my sister was saying they're supposed to have a big meeting, and they're going to be having like some armed guards. See, the parish that we in is Iberia Parish. And all the voting polls in Iberia Parish is going to be having armed guards. Now, when it starts getting like that at the voting polls, then now with this right here, oh, Lord, I'd be scared to go vote.
Well, that's the thing. You take, most people take life for granted just walking outside, whether it has anything to do with the political figure, rallying, voting. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Every day you walk outside, as I always tell people, you are not exempt from becoming a true crime story.
Right.
Because really more people could have been hurt, as Ms. Radix is saying in this commentary. You're talking about a sharpshooter, obviously. So anybody, and somebody did pass away, and others are allegedly injured. So they could have sprayed the entire area if they wanted to.
That's right. You're right. Could have been a lot worse. There could have been more people shot.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a game changer, though. This is going to be different. People, when they're going to think about going to these rallies like this, I don't know. I think they ain't going to have much of a turnout like they normally do, because people are going to, like, say, for instance, in New Orleans, okay? In New Orleans, like over there, I've been to different rallies. I went to Trump's rally when he had that over there, and it was in Baton Rouge, and the dome is pretty protective, just like the dome over there at LSU, in over there in Baton Rouge. But You get like a sharpshooter, get somewhere, or a couple of them, and get in there and just unload. Oh my God, it could be devastating.
But there'll be people who will still go to his rally or anybody else's rally or a public event because people, it doesn't seem to really faze a lot of people. Anything can happen because naturally you can't stop living just because of one event. And as you see, the fatalities we've had with school shootings, public places, carnivals, festivals, people will still go out, stand on a street corner, stand in the street, go to a bar, wherever, and as if nothing happened yesterday or 5 days ago.
Right. I mean, that's just like the Mardi Gras. The Mardi Gras over there in New Orleans, that's hey, I went one time and said, oh no, hell no, I'm never going again, I mean, they have all kind of stuff that happens down there, but does it stop people from Mardi Gras? No. Nope. They go. But this right here, when do you remember what year JFK was shot? I don't even know if I was born then. I was born in 66.
Yeah, it was in the 60s. Okay.
Well, I watched a documentary on that, and for some reason, I don't know, this reminded me of that. I mean, it could have been way worse for Trump, but it just reminded me of that when I watched that documentary. I said, oh my God, this could have ended up turning out like what happened with JFK.
Bell Tower. Shot from the Bell Tower.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, let me ask you, Queen, would you go to continue going to a rally?
I don't know.
See, that's how I feel.
I haven't been to a political rally, not that I can think of.
I mean, I went to one. It was
not dealing with a politician.
Right.
Rally when all that stuff was going on a few years ago with the Black Lives Matter. I was responsible. But that wasn't really political. But a political rally, I can't say because I haven't been to one. So
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I know my husband's probably gonna tell me, you ain't going to another one. Don't even think about it. Don't even ask, because you ain't going. Of course, he knows if I want to go somewhere, I'm gonna go. He ain't gonna tell me. But I don't know about this. If I was Trump, But I don't see him. I don't see, just from the way he acts and carries himself, I don't see him stopping. No, but he should. He should be doing it televised. Maybe he should just do it like a big televised, or something like that. But
Well, I just think with common sense, anybody can. If a person wants to get to you, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter about Secret Service. If a person wants to get you, they will. As you see, this person did. They did their homework. They had already mapped this out. Once they realized he was coming, they got information that he was coming to this area in Butler. They watched, surveyed. They probably drove by the place 1,000 times. They drove in and out of the buildings. They watched everything because only a fool would not. But I'm going to play commentary from a guy who saw the shooter on the building, okay?
So I didn't see that part. So this guy was
I'm getting ready to play it right now. Hold on.
Okay.
So now that will come into question. This person has a problem with where the person shot from, and did they walk through these areas before Trump went live? We'll see. We'll hear what they have to say later.
In the event, but you were just outside. Tell us what yes or no. Was anyone inside the event? But you were just outside. Tell us what yes or no. So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us the Purple Farming Greenhouse here. We had a party, and we all decided, hey, when we hear Trump up there, we're gonna walk up through the field, stand by the trees out there under the shade, and watch and listen to the rally. Right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling off the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
Right.
We could clearly see him with the rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police are like, oh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots rang out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You were up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service.
We were telling the police, we were pointing at them for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way that the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? This is not a big place.
Did you see, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, just be careful because we don't know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, made sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
Incredibly shocking.
The guy was on the roof right there. You can see the white roof right there.
Did you get a look at him? Because you.
No, other than he was in muted colors, tan type clothing. We saw the rifle flinging around as he was trying to crawl. We saw the rifle, 100%.
Do you know about guns? Do you know what kind of weapon it was?
Oh, I absolutely know about guns, for sure. It's a rifle of some sort. I wouldn't know, I wasn't close enough to read the label on it, but it was a rifle of some sort. Yeah, absolutely.
So, how do you process what you just see?
I don't know what to say, man. I'll tell you is, if I walked up close to there with anything that Secret Service considered a problem, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you right now. But I don't know why a guy who we're standing there pointing out to police and Secret Service is crawling up the roof. Yes, right there by that tree. We're outside the security permit. But my question is, there's only a few buildings around here. Why is Secret Service not at every building here?
There's a whole bunch of questions I think that are going to come.
There's a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Yes, she was right in front of me. She kept going back and forth right in front of me. Yes.
Tell us about
Nice horse, nice lady running with a flag. She seemed very, patriotic.
But what's the significance of that?
No, she's
All right, weigh in.
Wow. So, okay, some of it I couldn't hear, but some of it I could.
Yes,
Am I gathering that the Secret Service kind of in a way dropped the ball on this?
Well, I don't know. It depends on how they like to do their protocol as far as being on other buildings, standing on buildings, standing near buildings.
Because to me, I'd like to know what their perimeter was, because it sounds like their perimeter was limited to. They should have had that so many miles. They should have had like at least a mile or two a perimeter with agents. Mm-hmm. Like nobody, it took the spectators to see this guy, but then yet.
Well, somebody's going to see you, because there's people like him. They weren't actually in the arena where it was, so they're on the outside. So where the shooter is, they're right, not too far from where the shooter is. So he was going to be seen coming down. You're not going to miss somebody walking with a rifle.
Yeah,
Because
true,
he's got to be
true.
able to get out of there.
Well, hello,
Oh,
lovely Vault. How are you doing? Long live the
I'm good. How
Queen.
are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
hello,
Um,
Regina.
well, hello, Don't Dive. It's good to see you again.
You
Um,
too, you too.
I agree with you, Don't Dive. Certain protocols, whenever it comes to these kind of events and rallies, how can this get overlooked? I mean, they're supposed to have those buildings secure in the surrounding area. Any building where there could be someone get up on the roof and shoot down into the
Exactly.
crowd.
Yes.
That's kind of what's bothering me about all this. Plus, we have a bystander, and I hope something doesn't happen to him coming out and saying what he said. That was like, yeah, we were pointing to this guy and trying to get their attention, and they were looking at us, and then the shots rang out. You know what I'm saying? Like this. Uh, and the fact that the building that the shooter was on top of, y'all get this. Go look it up. It's on Google. It's called the Grassy Knoll. I kid you not.
Oh, come on, really?
Really, go look it
Wow.
up on Google.
Oh my
Blew
God.
my mind. I'm like, wait a minute, what? You can't make this up. You know what I mean?
No, no. Holy shit.
Not to
Well,
mention, we got these statements from Joe Biden. What was it? Was it 2 or 3 days ago? Talking about putting Trump in the crosshairs. Oh, putting Trump under the bullseye. That's what it was.
wow. Well, I mean, I'm still in shock about it, but then it's like, in a way, I know my husband's going to say, why should this shock you? Why should this shock you? Any president or any public speaker, they're, especially somebody running for president, they're putting their self in there they don't know with all them thousands of people, uh, anybody a sharpshooter can pop out of somewhere I mean, I keep
Right?
thinking of the movie Taxi Driver. Y'all remember that movie Taxi Driver?
It's been
With that
so long since
actor,
I've seen it.
you know who I'm talking about, huh, Queen?
I remember the movie. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much how, I can't remember the actor's name. Lord help me. But,
Regina, do you think he should continue on with the race?
Absolutely. I think he has. I think this has sparked a backing behind him, whether it was the intended outcome of it or not. I think it only rallied troops.
oh yeah, he's pissed. I
Trump
could tell
supporters.
he's Trump's pissed.
Well, his
You could,
people are pissed.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
but he's pissed too.
About what you're saying, pissed off. He should be glad to be alive.
I think he is.
I don't
he
think
is
I'd
grateful.
be pissed off. I think I'd be glad to be grateful to be breathing.
Yeah,
Oh,
but you
yeah.
know how Trump, hey,
Rather
Trump can be arrogant.
Listen, whether you like them or not, you all obviously are supporters. My thing is, somebody's lost their life because somebody don't like Trump.
That's true.
Right.
Yep.
And you know, Vault,
So that's the real deal.
I'm glad you just said that, because do you know what I find shocking in all of this? I was in a couple other chat rooms, looking the information up as the story unfolded and stuff. And I actually seen people that were upset that Trump was still alive, that the bullet didn't kill him. And I'm sitting there thinking, that is so sad, because I don't even like Joe Biden, and I still don't think anyone should try to end his life like this. That is, and that tells you the kind of mindset all these people are like, yay, we're Americans, we believe in freedom, but we also agree with killing our political enemies. I mean, come on.
Well, I wouldn't want this for Biden either. I wouldn't want this for any president. No president, nobody. I mean, like Queen said with that bystander. I mean, that poor man lost his life.
I heard it was a woman that lost their life.
Oh, it was a woman? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But that kind of mentality, someone sitting there going, well, it's just a shame that Trump is still alive. What?
Yeah, that's wrong. I mean, it don't matter if it's Trump or somebody else. That should not be like that.
Ever.
That should not be like that.
Ever. They claim, people are claiming to be Americans saying stuff like that. But the fact is you're living in a country where it's supposed to be about having the right to voice your opinion against your political enemies or whatever. And that's okay. But it's never okay to go and kill another person.
No, it's,
Violence
yeah, I
is
know.
not the answer. It's not.
The world is full of a lot of anger, okay? It wasn't like this 20 years ago. The world has changed and it's going to continue to get even worse than what it is now. There's a lot of anger on both parties, the left and the right, and it's only going to get worse. And it's a shame that our kids and grandchildren are going to be coming up into this. It's just, oh my God, it's, Lord, it's a shame. I don't know. I just don't know anymore.
It is, and I understand everyone wanting to figure out how this has happened and why this has happened, but at the end of the day, it's all going to boil down to the same old story of some people just cannot stand for another person to not agree with them or be a part of what they believe in, and they feel the need to go cause violence against. And see, here's the whole thing. Whenever they did this, whenever they climbed up on top of that building and they shot into that crowd, they had no regard for human life. No regard for human life whatsoever, because
No.
they took the chance of not only killing, Trump, but they took the chance of ending other people's lives.
That's right.
Mothers, fathers, children were in that crowd. And the thing that scared me the most was seeing all those people freaking out, not knowing what was going on, wondering if they were going to make it out alive with their families. That's the part that got me the most.
Well, I guarantee you, if I would have been one of them spectators sitting behind Trump, my behind would have been out of there like a bat out of hell. I would have been jumping over people and everything, trying to get the hell out of there. And
Well, let's talk about that, because watching the video, people were standing here, they were still standing around looking. I'm like, why are you looking? He's sitting in front of you and he's touching his ear and it's bleeding and you're just standing there looking.
Exactly.
Why are you still standing?
Yep.
I didn't understand that. And then you see the Secret Service jumping on top of him, you're still standing. Some are crouching down, but man.
I mean, unless they was in shock. I mean,
lie down on the floor.
Yeah. I guess they was in shock, Queen. I mean, I don't know. I say I would have ran out of there, and I don't know what I would have did. Maybe they was just in shock, like what in the world just happened, They just seemed, I don't know.
I completely agree with Shelley Ray. We have a huge problem with gun violence. But the fact of the matter is it's not the guns that are actually committing the crimes. I mean, people can use anything as a weapon. I think it extends from a breakdown of morals in the nuclear family in America, and it extenuates from so many different reasons, and it's broken down the mental health and the morals and the fabrics of our community that once upon a time did have us working together for the betterment of each other, until we let people turn us against each other in a way that there's so much hatred that guns are just easily accessible. So that's what is being used to hurt others. That's what I think.
I mean, I understand that the guns need to be more regulated. They need to be regulated more. But to just take guns away from the people, oh Lord, you can't do that. I don't want to be caught if something ever happens and we get a World War III breakout or something like that. Somebody come knocking on my door wanting some food. It just depends on who you are. I'll share. I'll give it to anybody. But you better not have a gun pointed at me, because I promise you ain't getting none. Because I'm gonna have guns too, and I ain't getting rid of my guns.
Girl, they can't take them from me. They can't take them from me.
I'm not getting rid of mine.
But then again, you're like me. You're a law-abiding citizen that would never use your chosen method of defense to go out and hurt another human being.
No, I wouldn't. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if one of my loved ones is in harm's way, or even myself, I'm gonna protect myself. That's how I was born and raised.
But that's the difference. That's using the weapon to preserve and protect human life against.
Yeah, and I'm gonna use
the
my head. You know, I'm gonna use my head though before I'm gonna use that gun. But then they got some people that are mentally ill that hasn't been fortunate to be able to have mental you know, guidance or
faculties
counseling, you know, and they choose to use that gun irrationally, you know.
for evil.
Exactly. But I mean, you're gonna let the good suffer for the bad. I mean, it does happen. But I mean,
But
my gosh,
you can never take guns out of the hands of law-abiding citizens, because all you're doing is making them defenseless against the criminals with weapons that don't care what the law is that say they can or can't have a gun. They're going to
that's
have
how
them
I
anyway.
feel. Yeah, I'd rather have one by my side than to not to be put in a position to where I ain't got none. Look, let me tell you, that I've had a couple of times. One time I was almost raped, and thank God I had a gun. I didn't have to kill nobody, but thank God I had one. And another time somebody was trying to break in the house with me and my husband, and thank God we had a gun. Of course, we didn't have to use it. But you just never know what can happen. It just, do you want to be caught with no defense? That's how a person has to look at it. Nothing at all. Because a kitchen knife ain't going to help you. You know, if you got 3 guys coming at you, the kitchen knife ain't going to do nothing.
That's true. You're
I
going to
mean,
be lucky if you get to defend yourself from the first person attacking in that.
you know, I mean, it just, I live in the South. I was raised from Southern parents and grandparents and great grandparents, and we just always had them. We always had them, you know. It just, I don't know. I mean, I agree though, Regina. It's the person behind it, the person behind that weapon.
Yep, is whether or not that weapon is going to be dangerous or not.
That's right.
That's exactly what it all boils down to. That is exactly what it all boils down to. A weapon is only as dangerous as the mind wielding it.
That's right.
I firmly believe that.
Well, Queen, what about you? You haven't said nothing about this.
I'm letting y'all talk.
I know, but I want to. How do you feel? How do you feel about protection force for?
Well, I agree with Shelley in the chat. I don't believe regular civilians need AR-15s.
No, you know.
I don't see that.
Yeah, I agree too.
A gun, a regular size gun, is enough to protect yourself either at home or outside. But the thing about guns is just that even if you are licensed to carry, permit, however it works, those people still are no different than the people that people deem as thugs, because we've seen regular people who pop off with guns. So it's not even about just saying, well, I'm licensed to carry. Yeah, but are you mentally equipped to carry? You being licensed and don't have a criminal record has nothing to do with your mind.
That's
because we're seeing regular citizens every day who don't have no business with a damn gun.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I mean, every story right now,
one of them.
somebody would come forward and say, I can't believe she did that. I can't believe he did that. So that proves the point that you don't know them. And they're licensed to carry, because that's the point. You don't know people. You can't speak for what somebody will and won't do.
Yeah.
So even if you go on and on and on about mental capacity and taking tests, and there is no test to keep a person from popping off. It's just like any military joining the police academy, taking a job survey. You know what to answer on a survey.
You are absolutely right, Queen.
Do you steal from the job? You know to say no.
Yeah, you're right.
Same thing. You see your coworker stealing, what do? You're supposed to say, turn them in, right? So it's the same thing with a mental evaluation for a person to get a firearm. They know what to answer.
You're right, Queen. You're 100%
so there is no
right.
surefire method. for the gun situation, because frankly, most people probably don't need a gun. I'm just going to keep it real. I think a lot of people in their mind think they have the right to have a gun because the Constitution says you can bear arms. That does not mean you are that person that should have a damn gun. And I think a lot of people right now who think they could have control over a gun, they really don't. Because if you easily anger, you pop off, and the first thing you think of is to go get a gun, that means you don't need no gun.
I agree.
Yeah.
With that.
Oh, now that, yeah. Oh, definitely.
People do it all the time. Just go run, get the gun. Two people could be having a disagreement. What are you getting your gun for? Say that doesn't have anything to do with you. There's people like this. That's why we have all these dead people, because people don't have no common sense.
Nobody has any of that.
The gun should be the farthest thing to just go get just because two people are having a disagreement. So you're just going to go run up in the middle of a crowd with a gun because two people are arguing. Why would you do that?
Queen nations do that. Nations.
That has nothing to do with you. That's why you know most people don't need a gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you see two neighbors arguing, why would you get involved? Go get a gun. You can't even go stand in between them, let alone go get a gun. Everybody's gun happy. Just like this guy, two guys just lost their life last week because a guy arguing with a security guy. Another guy stops the fight. He gets shot. Security guy gets shot. And then the guy goes on the run to Florida, and they find him holed up in a hotel. U.S. Marshals bum rush the hotel. They get the girlfriend out, and now he's dead because he killed himself. So you just killed two people here in Knoxville for nothing. Over what? Nothing. So only go on a run to kill yourself inside of a hotel. That's my point.
Yeah.
What do y'all make of the whole this dude's Antifa, this dude's the Chinese communist background? What do you guys think about all that coming out?
The what?
Well, they're saying there's people saying, news reports saying that this guy was Antifa, and then there's other news reports saying this guy was of Chinese nationality and a communist. There's two different.
I'm not speaking on nothing I don't know nothing about.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that.
Well, I heard it from CNN that he had, I believe it was CNN, that he had Chinese relations, or he was of Chinese heritage. And then I heard another person say that it was Antifa related. So there's already different narratives being spun on this. And I'm not sure what to think myself. That's why I was asking y'all.
Yeah, but all them narratives like that, but I don't even pay attention to that, because I guarantee you the CIA, they already know who this guy is and where he came from. They done checked him out, I promise you. Oh, they know who this is, but I didn't hear nothing about the Antifa or the Chinese nationality. I didn't hear nothing about that.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Huh.
It's everywhere.
They ain't no telling who it is. No telling. It's crazy.
I do know that this situation is awful, not because and not just because someone decided to try to assassinate a former president who is, campaigning to be president again, but because you guys, innocent bystanders that were there, just all they were doing was practicing their American freedoms.
Yep, and look what happened
to them, and they were killed for it.
Yep.
And that means that really we all have to take into account that each one of us, no matter what our political alignment or beliefs or affiliations are in danger of this kind of thing happening.
Yeah. Why can't it just be peaceful? Why can't it just be it'll never happen? Why can't they just be just everybody get along and just love each other, and it'll just never happen? The Lord must, I tell you what, he just must be shaking his head down on saying, my gosh, look at this. Look at all of these right here. Look what they doing to each other.
Yeah, and it's sick. It's sick. It's maddening.
That's why I
It's
say it don't
maddening
matter.
because
It don't matter if it was Trump, if it was Biden, it doesn't matter. This should not be done to no president. None.
this shouldn't be done to anybody.
No.
It shouldn't be done to anybody. And especially not in a room full of innocent bystanders. That's the
Yep.
part I think that outrages me the most. That's the part, and I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to hide behind my political beliefs. I have always supported Donald Trump because of his views on the economy and securing the American border. Okay, so I support Trump. But
Well-
with that said, like I said, I could not imagine, and it would just be awful if someone tried doing the same thing to Joe Biden just because they didn't agree with him.
Well, it's true. That's how I feel.
Well, I feel like this. If Biden had got shot, there'd be a lot of same comments. It'd be the same negative comments.
And you know, Queen, that's sad because
It would
that's
be
the
the same.
mentality.
So
That's
it's
the
either
mentality.
everybody get up and say, well, what somebody shouldn't say about Donald Trump or somebody shooting Trump. If Biden had gotten shot, Kamala got shot, people would be saying the same damn thing.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you right now. If you would have got
Sad.
shot, that would have been ass. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, this little Cajun girl right here would have been whooping some ass. Okay, Queen, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, everybody straddles the fence. If that,
Yeah.
I mean, I've just been looking at the ugly comments about him just the past couple of weeks because he seems disoriented. Like I told people in the comment sections under the articles, he's old.
Yep.
You don't have to like Biden. You don't have to like none of these people. But common sense should tell you, an 87-year-old person running for office is just common sense that he's old. But it's
That's
up to
right.
somebody. It's up to somebody to tell him, hey, I don't think you're cognitively aware to be in this position, whether you're Democrat or Republican. Somebody should be telling you that.
That's right. And you
So,
know what? Okay.
You know, but I just feel like it's double-sided right now. I already know if anybody right now went and attempted to shoot Biden, it would be the same commentary. It would be
Yeah.
And that's so sad that we live in a world where people feel that way, period.
Oh Lord, yeah, I know.
It's
But
so
that's-
sad that we live in a world where people cannot speak their beliefs without being made a target, period.
Because
Or-
you know what it is? It's power and money. Power and money.
Yep.
That's all it is.
No
Power
wonder
and money.
somebody putting up their fingers. Well, that's stupid. Why would you be putting up your fingers because he got shot? That's it. That's idiotic. It's juvenile behavior.
Yeah, but I gotta say, I'd much rather see people flipping off a camera than getting a gun and climbing up on top of
Yeah,
a
but I'm gonna
building.
be truthful with you. I would see those same type of people getting a gun. I would. Because that's what is the reason behind throwing up your finger to a news camera because somebody shot Donald Trump? Explain to me. See, I don't talk politics because I know how ignorant it gets. That's why you never hear me talking about politics on my channel.
Well, you know, I studied
I'm
constitutional
not
law.
going to throw it right now. If there's somebody I like, listen. If there was somebody I like politically and they got shot, I'm not getting ready to stand in front of a camera and throw up my finger for what?
I
That
agree
proves
with
what?
that. I wouldn't either.
I'm mad. You can be angry.
Right, but as a person that studies constitutional law, the middle finger is protected speech by the Constitution. By the
Oh, but
Supreme
come
Court
on,
has ruled
Regina,
on it.
really? It's
But going and
juvenile.
getting a gun is a lot different.
No, but I'm just saying.
Flipping
I'm just
someone
saying.
off.
Listen, I'm not here to argue with you.
I
One
know.
thing begets another. That's what I'm saying. One act begets another. So imagine you throw up your finger, and now somebody responds to you throwing up your finger. Now, what do you think two people are getting ready to start doing?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, you're right.
Now somebody has something to say about your finger. Now you've got something to say about putting your finger up. That's the point I'm making. That things you do jumps off to something else. I'm just saying, I don't see the point in throwing up your finger. If you think that's okay to throw your finger up in front of a national news camera because somebody you like got shot, I don't agree with that. I think that's childish. And I think what you're doing, you're egging on the shit that got you to be standing there right now looking at a man with some dead people.
Yeah.
All it takes is for the wrong person to throw up your hand, and then somebody else come along. Let's just say there were like people, so the situation is different. But imagine being across the fence where there's other people who don't like who you're there for. And you throw up your finger. Well, guess what? Now somebody else want to come closer.
Yeah, it's inciting, is what it's called.
That's the point I'm making. Yes, that's what I'm saying. They can throw up the finger to that camera because they know most of the people there in Leslie are Trump supporters. But if you had done that with other people in the group on the ground that weren't Trump supporters, I don't think throwing up the bird would turn out very well.
No, probably wouldn't.
That's my opinion.
Right, but with that said, I have to point out that it comes from both sides of the fence, no matter who's doing it. I mean,
Hey, Regina, I ain't ready to do this with you. I'm not going to argue both sides. Those are all Trump supporters there. There was nobody on the ground that was a Biden supporter. So I'm saying, you're standing there with your own kind. Uh-huh. What is the point in throwing up a finger to the camera? For what? You can't make me agree with that, because I ain't. That makes no sense to me.
Right, and I don't agree with it, but I'm saying that this kind of behavior does come from both sides. And y'all are right. It's meant to completely incite. And why do they want us incited? Why do they want us angry? Because it's easy to divide angry people. That's what it's all about. It's about separating us up to cause incitement and anger and rage that isn't even necessary, just so they can separate us into different groups. It's all about division. It really is. It's about division, no matter which way you look at it. And division leads to more anger, and more anger leads to enragement. And whenever people get enraged, that's when stuff like this happens. It's all a setup to enrage us.
Yeah.
That's the reason I choose not to let what anybody else says or whatever finger they throw at me. I don't let that affect my anger or my rage. It's up to us to be in control of ourselves.
Yeah, because it's like the Lord says, they know not what they do. It's in the Bible. They know not what they do. And it's true. People do not know. They don't. They use their brain and they don't use their heart. And, like it's in the Bible, they know not what they do. And they don't. They don't. And I do believe that, Queen. I do. Some people.
So the shooter, he didn't know what he was doing, and the person throwing up the bird, they didn't know what they were doing.
They don't know.
They all knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing at the time.
I need one talk at a time, please.
Okay. Go, Regina. You go, Regina.
They absolutely knew what they were doing. Like I said, it's all about I'm right, you're wrong. It's about being from different sides of the aisle and getting your point across before anyone else. And sadly, some people think that the proper way to deal with situations that they feel like they don't have a voice in, like they're not being heard, or like they feel so passionately. Listen, what can make you feel something so passionately about another human being, unprovocated? You can go in their lives. Is a middle finger really worth that kind of provocation? It's deeper than the middle finger. This has been going back a long time. It's literally divide and conquer. And that's what they're trying to do to us. That's exactly what they're trying to do to us. To divide and conquer.
Who are the they you're speaking of?
The government. All of it.
So now the government's trying to control my thought process.
Absolutely. They try to control the narrative for all of us to control our thought processes. And I'm not saying that from a conspirator's point of view. I'm saying that based on laws that have been made to where people can infiltrate our televisions, our wireless devices, every aspect of our life to try to sell us something. Why? Because they're all part of those companies. They want those companies to do good. So naturally, they allow laws that keep advertisers advertising from the time we wake up till we go to bed at night. And whichever side of the party has the most investments in whatever is the one going to have the most to say. Is going to have the people with the most invested are the ones that have the most to say. They are the ones that want us divided, because as long as they have us divided, believing into their narrative instead of the other side's narrative, and they can feed us what they want us to know and not what anyone else. It's all like it's almost like cultism if you really want to know the truth about it. It's almost like either you want to be in my cult or you want to be in their cult. And if you're part of their cult, well, we can't have nothing to do with you. As a matter of fact, we're going to attack, defame, and possibly even try to take your life over it. And it's not just from one side, it's literally from both sides. That's all I'm trying to say. Like,
See, and I'm in a spiritual way for they know not what they do. That's what I was talking about. That in a spiritual way, that they just, people don't realize what they're doing at the time. I think later on they come to find out. If not, they just damn idiots. But in a spiritual way is what I was talking about.
Okay.
I mean, it's just crazy. I hate all this has happened.
It's awful.
It is. The world is just, and it makes me wonder that some of the past leaders, what would they be saying with the way that the world is what's going on? What in the world? Well, it probably wouldn't surprise them, it's crazy. It's scary.
Well,
it's scary, that's for sure.
It's the world we're in.
See, that's just like, I don't hardly watch the TV no more. I don't even hardly, my husband watches it all the time. I don't need that damn TV because half the time I'm on YouTube, which that's going to be ending as soon as.
And that's the worst place.
Yes. Oh, yes, it is. Amen.
It's all the same. People blame the news. People blame the news for everything. But in the end, you have a free thinking mind. Just like you all want to sit up here and talk about constitutional rights, bearing arms. Well, your mind is free. The government don't control your fucking mind.
They try to.
They try, but they're not gonna. They ain't gonna.
Why? I'm like, this conversation is about to get stupid. Why? How is the government controlling Queen? Please explain to me. How is somebody controlling me?
Oh, I'm not saying, Queen, you're very woke and you're very educated.
But somebody else might get offended you say that because it do sound conspiracy. The government is controlling us to think what narrative. So you have to elaborate when you say that. What narrative is the government trying to get us to conform to? Just explain it.
Where would you like me to start?
No, because you're the one throwing it. You're throwing this out here. I tell you all about this. Y'all love to say stuff, but you don't ever want to explain. You can't just throw out an open-ended statement. Oh, the government's trying to control us. With what? For what?
Okay. Let me explain that. I can actually, if you would like, I can explain my side of that real quick. Our government tries to control us whenever they have scientific studies done, and they pay for those studies to be done so that they can control the narrative of those studies done. Well, then they come out in these major universities, etc., and they put this narrative out for us to believe in something. And at the end of the day, all these narratives are being sent to us, like with scientific studies and stuff. But if you go look at other results from other tests done on these same scientific studies, you will find out that the results were either like, it literally all starts with research. It literally all starts with research, how they're trying to control us. Because as long as they're funding the research, they can say whatever they want. They can put out whatever information they want. As long as they're controlling the investigation, they can control whatever explanation they want put out. They can control the entire narrative. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Just
but the government is not the one that's doing a lot of the researches. There are different organizations through universities that fund. They get funding.
right.
It's the scientists that are exacting the search of the research.
But who's funding those universities? It's federal.
You're not going to make me believe that every damn scientist is being paid to say yay or nay.
Not all of them.
Gina. Really?
Not all of them. Not all of them. I completely agree with you, that Queen.
Oh my God.
But if you go do the research, for yourself, you can see it. That whenever it comes to the funding behind research, especially with universities and stuff, whoever funded the research is who the research typically ends up reflecting in a positive manner for their narrative. Only 7% of all studies done at universities, only 7% ever went against what the original agenda that was being paid for was. And that's in the research I've done from different universities. Like this is information you can all go look up yourselves. It's all about narrative and agendas, every bit of it. From medications, big pharma is a big one. And the government funds most of that research. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I don't believe in the whole alien tin hats, this, that, or the other. Look, I don't know what's going on with any of that, and I do not care. But I do know that whenever it comes to research and what is put out to us by the media from those researches that are done is mostly funded by our government, and that is the truth. And only 7% of the time in the clinical studies and in the research that is reported on does the person doing the research or the team doing the research go against the agenda of the person that funded the research. And that's facts.
Regina, you way over my head, girl. You just flew right over my head. But I'm listening.
But go look it up. Go look it up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just listen to it because I'm saying it. Like, go look it up. Go look up any one of anything that has been corroborated by the government in research studies, whether it's from a medication, whether it is from, whether it has to do with global warming, whether it has anything, vehicles, anything. Go look up the funding, look at who funded it and what the agenda was, and then look at the outcome of what was put out to the public on that research. Any of them. Because there's only, from the research I've done so far, there's only 7% that I have found that literally was not the direct narrative agenda put out after the alleged research was done from the people that funded it.
It's interesting.
Well, what's the next?
Well, that's what I was just fixing to ask you, Queen. I ain't never heard you so speechless. You're the leader.
Sometimes as my father said, I say this a lot, sometimes it's best to be quiet.
Did you, Wanda Young, it's funny that you should say that.
So I'm being quiet.
Wanda Young, did you know that Big Pharma itself was funded by an oil tycoon? And not to mention, with that same breath, they also funded one of the first medical schools here in America and literally wrote the book for physicians on how to treat patients. You should go look into that, Wanda Young. It's actually pretty interesting.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can look that up on Wikipedia yourself right now.
Well, I did find something out the other day that I was shocked on. I said, well, it don't surprise me, that little leprechaun with Fauci. I did not realize that he's the one, him and this other guy, they're the ones that come up with that major medicine back in the 70s for the AIDS vaccine, or not vaccine, but that major drug that I can't remember the name of it for AIDS. Yeah, Fauci and this other guy did, and held on to that drug for a while when they could have been given that and saving lives. And then here, this little fucker, oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to say that. Here he comes and is funding that Wuhan lab with that COVID stuff. I said, well, looky here. Look at Mr. Anthony Fauci. Huh.
I trust God personally. And he said, but for lack of knowledge is why my people perish. That's the reason I do my own research into all these different things. And I don't believe what anybody just says or tells me.
Yeah.
I go look it up. But for I'm a Christian queen. But lack of knowledge is why my people perish. Not knowing is why they die. Not knowing is why we die.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It makes sense. Knowledge yourself. Invite wisdom. Yep. Well, I'll tell you this. I sure won't be going to no rallies. I'm for Trump. I voted for the first time, and I'll probably vote for him the second time. I will admit that. But I guarantee you.
I asked why you haven't been voting, ma'am.
Wait, we'll say that again?
Why haven't you been voting? Can you tell us why you have not been voting?
No, I've been voting. Oh, no, I voted. I voted for Trump.
But at first you just said you hadn't been voting.
That I hadn't been voting?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I don't remember saying that. I voted for Trump the first time, and I will vote for him again. But I doubt I'll be going to any rallies. If he comes to Louisiana again.
I'm saying you've been voting most of your life. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. I've been voting ever since I registered to vote. I was 18, and I've been voting ever since. But far as for a rally, I don't think I'm gonna be going to no rally. Nope. He can be arrogant, okay? He can, but I mean I just don't find we was in such a pickle, okay, when he was in there. I don't think we was in such bad shape as we are now as a country. I just don't find we were.
Tell me why. Tell me why you.
Well, the border, all these people coming in over the border. Okay.
They coming in the border.
They what?
When did the people stop coming over the border when Trump was in office?
Them people wasn't coming in when Trump was in office. They wasn't coming across the border.
Nobody came across the border when he was in office. You believe that?
I used to watch the news all the time, and I never seen people. Maybe they were coming in illegally, but Trump was building that wall.
There wasn't no other way for them to come over here, but was the illegally.
No, but they wasn't coming in like Biden's been letting them come in. Because Biden's been letting every Tom, Dick, and Harry come through to the wall. We got people coming from Pakistan, and we don't know who these people are.
while I don't agree that illegal immigrants didn't come across the border when
Yeah, I'm not
Trump
gonna
was in
believe
office.
that.
See, I
They did.
You know why I'm not gonna believe that? Because they've been coming over 50, 60 years with a Democrat and a Republican. So there's no way I'm
Yeah.
gonna believe when
That's
Trump was in
true.
office, nobody illegally came over the border. That's bullshit.
That is true.
There are too many people
However,
here, and I ain't about to sit here and think they just came here the past 2 years.
right.
That's
However,
bullshit.
the only argument I have on that is that we've never seen them coming across the border 20,000 people a day. That is precedented history.
Because it's common sense. If I know there's a way I can get in, that's anything. I'm gonna make a way. Just like somebody made a way and shot those people today, it's the same thing. If I know I can get over there, I'm going to make a way. I'm going to try it. So that's the reason why they even have YouTube videos showing you how to get here, how to fly in from China and go over to wherever, and they give you fucking instructions.
Right. How about our own Red Cross? Our
They got
own Red
instructions
Cross making
on how to
maps and
cross
putting
in
them on the
foreign countries.
Yes. And see, that's the thing that the only reason I think that there could be a change in it is because of current policy. Instead of illegal immigrants being deported when they're brought into the country, they are being given financial aid. They're being put up in hotels. They're being infiltrated into the American system, even though they are technically criminals just in the act that they crossed illegally. Now, those
I mean,
are the
let them
policies
come
that I think
illegally.
those are the policies that I think, in my personal opinion, and this is free for anyone to argue with, but those policies that welcome them with open arms and don't even require background checks
Right.
and
That's
give
what I
them
don't
money
like.
are the policies why they are coming in larger numbers than ever before in history, because it's like it's like a welcome mat. I'm going to give you, if you come into this country illegally, I'm going to give you money. I'm going to give you somewhere to live. I'm going to educate your kids, put you on food stamps, and set you up. Whenever there is an open door, policies like that do cater to these criminals coming across the border illegally, I believe that is when the uptick in the illegals coming across the border happens. That's just my own personal
Well,
opinion.
they got so many coming, they can't vet them. They can't. They're not even vetting them anymore because there's no way they can. There's too many coming. That's what I don't like. Let them if they want if they're legal, and they want to live in this country legally, fine. Okay, legally. But if you're on a terror watch list or you coming over for trafficking and stuff, drugs and stuff like that, oh hell no, no. But they can't even deport these people back because there's so many of them. See, that I don't believe in. But if they're vetted and if they're legal and they go through the process, even if it takes a year or two, and you're willing to go through that process, but not just to just.
I personally have worked migrant jobs alongside illegal immigrants, picking watermelons, picking strawberries. I've even worked cleaning porta potty tanks. So saying that right there, that nobody will work those jobs without illegal immigrants, I cannot vouch for that because I myself have worked those jobs.
So you want to go out there and pick cotton? You want to go out there and pick up the fruit and the oranges off the trees, Regina?
I've done it. I have done it, Queen. That's what I'm telling you. I have done it.
Well, I'm telling you, most of us don't want to do it. And that's just big facts. No, most of us don't want to do it. So Tiffany has a point. Most people don't want to do that kind of work. And that's their choice. And I'm not judging nobody because they don't want to pick fucking cotton or pick an orange off a damn tree. Because most people are not going to do it. It's just the way it is. It's no different than cleaning a street sweeper, the garbage man, healthcare. It's all the same. People do what they want to do. There's no, as you all love to talk about constitutional rights. Well, people have the right not to want to pick cotton or pick off the tree or pick the cherries. pick up the grapes. It don't.
The only reason I have ever,
A lot of the
the
work,
only,
let me finish. A lot of people, yes, don't want to do that manual type labor because one, you're not going to get paid anything. But we live in a world where we want to eat. We want fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. It's just the way it is. Hello, Shelby. How are you?
Tiffany, the
I'm
only
good.
reason.
How are you?
Where are you coming from, honey?
Northeast Florida.
How you doing?
I'm good.
What do you have to say about today's events?
It was heartbreaking.
Really? Tell me why. Why are you heartbroken?
It was just sad that I'm 51 years old and something like that can still go on.
What? People getting shot?
No, we're not people getting shot. That somebody would want to assassinate the former president, regardless of who he is.
But look at here. Let's just look at it like this. Trump is no different than anybody else. He puts his drawers on like anybody else. We are a violent society.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, we are a violent society. You scratch his title of being a former president, he's just a man. That's it.
Yeah,
you're right. People are killing each other every day for no reason. They don't even have a good reason.
They don't, and it's horrifying, and I hate it. And I wish we could change as a society. There's so much hate in the world.
So I have a question. If Donald Trump were not a presidential candidate at a rally today, given his political views, do you think that a sniper would have climbed up on top of a roof and attempted to kill him? Do you think that he puts himself at a risky behavior, as some other folks do, going and buying drugs from street dealers and putting himself in that risk of being shot? Because I don't think he put himself in the risk category the same as everyone else. I think it's a completely different risk category.
I'm not. A man was shot today. Two other people lost their lives. It was stupid, and I'm just sick of seeing it every day. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of mass shootings and school shootings. I'm just done with it all. That's what I'm saying. It's just heartbreaking to see any of it, the violence, every single day, every time you turn on the news, the TV, all of it. I can't change it. I just popped up to say that.
Yeah, I feel you because I'm the same way, but it's not going to change. It's not going to change. It's just going to keep continuing in a numerous ways. We need more leadership. We need family, parents. You know, it all trickles down. It just all trickles down.
You're right. I wish as myself I could fix it.
Well, like my husband tells me, you can't save the world.
You absolutely can't.
You know, you just cannot save the world. I mean, it's yes, God, sometimes why do these things happen? But there's a reason for it. And only he knows, and only he's in control. That's just like with the judicial system. You know, I mean, there's only one judge, final judge.
It just when you look at it all, it just gets confusing in because it's horrible. I know 25 years, my husband years, we raised a 21-year-old daughter, and struggling to after college. This world, you know.
Are y'all hearing her going in and out, or is that just me?
I can't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on my phone.
Okay.
I can't sit in a chair.
Okay, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now.
So I'd probably
Shelley,
yes.
do I know you by another name?
Yeah, I have two accounts, but I took out my whole Facebook account.
Well, no, I'm talking about. You mean on YouTube?
Yeah, that's what I meant. YouTube.
And what's your other name?
Bassett Baby.
Who?
Bassett Baby.
That's what I thought.
I think I have two too. I got one Cajun chick, and then I got the Don't Dive. I thought there was another one. I don't remember. Because I got blocked. Some people way in the past with the Kohlberger case, so I made me another. I made me another name.
Because I have a bunch of.
What you do about another phone?
No, I just I changed my what you call it.
Your Google name.
Yeah, I just changed it. One of them's Cajun chick, and I forgot the other one. Yeah, when I get blocked or get kicked out or something, Queen, I make me another one and sneak in, and then they block me.
Yeah, I've noticed that they love coming over here for some reason. I'm trying to figure out why.
Well, I love coming over here because you're very smart. You're such an awesome advocate to missing people, missing children. You've got a big heart, and I've never met you, but I could just tell. I just sense it that you're a really good person, and that's why I keep coming back. And I'm surprised that you don't have even more people, but you will. You will.
That's because I don't make up content.
Yes, Queen, that's what I second everything she just said.
Yeah,
I don't make up stuff for people to ooh and ah over.
Yeah.
Not only that, Queen,
So,
only that, Queen, but even if I have a difference in opinion on something or I don't agree with you on what you say, I know that what you're saying comes from a place of education and compassion for people. And
that's right.
You don't play around. You don't needy pick it apart. You call a spade. And I think we need more of that on YouTube. Yes,
100%, Regina. Queen is unlike anybody else because I've been on YouTube for years, and I've never ever come across another channel and a person like her ever, and we need more of them.
Well, my thing is,
agreed.
You have to give your opinion at some point. You know, that's why I said I don't like talking politics because I know how gritty it gets. It's a tough topic. Politics, you talk race, and even this true crime nonsense, it goes left real quick.
All of it does.
So,
and it's because the reason behind that is because even those topics themselves, whether we admit it or not, stem from a place of division and hate. And we've been led to believe that's what we're supposed to do, is not agree with someone, because instilled by us either by our parents or our peers or whatever community we decide to involve ourselves with, they have an agenda that is to them, and they want us to see their side of it and disagree with everyone else so passionately, then it can lead to being enraged. And then we have situations like what happened today. Whenever personally, my belief on all of it is, I don't care who you vote for. I don't care what your agenda is. As long as it's not hurting another person, intentionally and willfully hurting another person. The way I see it, we're all people. We all have our own things to figure out for ourselves, but we need to be educated.
Well, let me ask you about this.
Truth, and nobody deserves to be hurt.
Some of you all obviously are Trump supporters, and I'm just going to be honest because I've bit my tongue long enough. You don't think this man has not divided people in this country while he was before and running for office? You don't see anything, all of the stuff that happened at the Capitol, those people running up in that building, which nobody told them to do that, but a lot of people do believe he incited that. Okay.
I believe that both sides of the political parties have been dividing us as Americans for years.
I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about Donald Trump.
Is he a political person?
Just stop the tit for tat right now. I'm not doing tit for tat right now. I'm speaking of Donald Trump. He's the subject today.
Right.
And like I said, I bit my tongue long enough. You all talking about your opinion about him. So I'm asking you, how do you see this person helping what you're steady complaining about? Because you're steady complaining about division, the government, who's making us think this way and do these things. I feel like he's done a lot to make people think a certain negative way. I do.
He has.
Yeah.
All of them have. That's what I'm saying. It's like, for me, all of them divide us. That's where I'm coming from. And yes, Donald Trump is guilty of it. Everyone who's ever ran for office is guilty of it.
But I can honestly say there are a lot of people I've seen run for office that I have not heard talk the way he talks. Now, that's not true. That's not true. I've seen a lot of people run, independent, Republican, and Democrat. And I have seen a lot of people, whether you like what they were saying, they didn't come off as brash, and I just say somewhat ignorant in commentary. Right. I feel like there's a way of talking. I feel like there's a way of delivering a message without, being, as I just said, just ignorant conversations. And I personally, I wouldn't do that if I want to run for political office. I want people to, you don't have to like me, but I need your respect, because respect goes further than somebody liking me.
See, right here, I'm watching Newsmax. And all these people out here, now see, they shouldn't be doing this. All these supporters that's in this crowd is not good. Their attitude, the way that they're acting. See, that ain't good. That ain't good.
Well, what do you have
I know
to say
they pissed. I know they upset and they pissed because of what happened, but the way that they're acting, this is not good, and it shouldn't be like that. Flipping the cameras off and hollering and screaming. You could read their lips saying F you, all kind of.
Well, who are you speaking of, honey?
I'm talking about I was just, while I was listening to you, I was just watching Newsmax, and they're showing the people, the supporters, after what happened with Trump.
Yeah.
And the way that the crowd is acting. See, that ain't good.
Oh, you talking about supporters?
Huh?
Who supporters are you talking about? Trump?
Yeah, they all the way they're acting. I can tell you by tomorrow, there's no telling what's going to happen.
Well, I think it will get worse. So that's why I'm sitting here.
It is going to get worse. It is.
That it's going to get better, because I saw a lot of.
No, it's going to get worse.
When he was running for office and all that stuff was coming out with that woman, I already know how people are, but the behavior just, to me, got out of control. And it, to me, was like a cult. And that's my opinion. The way people acting nasty, pushing and shoving people at his rallies and stuff because they spoke out against Trump. And I remember seeing an older white guy kicking a black guy in the butt. I was like, okay, really? And I had never seen that before anywhere.
Okay, but I have a question, and this is legitimate because I'm curious of how this comes about, that flipping people off is not the way to act.
I don't want, hey, Regina, I'm not going to go back and forth with you about that. That's my opinion.
No, I have a question. I have a question.
Well, why you got a question about it?
No, not just. No. It's not like that, Queen. I promise. The question I have is,
I'll be damned.
What do we listen? So this
ain't my platform.
No, absolutely it is. Absolutely it is.
I'm trying to say, we've already discussed that finger shit already. Why are we still on that? Why are we going to still talk about people giving each other the birds? Don't die was talking about something else.
I don't forgot
about the behavior of the people on the ground.
Yeah, the way that they were acting after everything happened.
Let her address that.
It was just, it's like, I hate to say it, but it did look like some inciting to me. I mean, I could be wrong, but you see, that's what upsets me. It's like, don't do this. I mean, I know you're angry and you're pissed and whatever, but don't incite that behavior and keep that attitude, because it's going to be worse.
That's the point. That's the point I've been trying to make suddenly during the live.
That's how it's been going.
Yeah, one thing begets another.
Yes.
What you think is right as far as a constitutional right of a finger and a foot, that has nothing to do with somebody responding. That's what got us here today with the man getting shot.
Yes, and sadly, Queen, I'm hoping and praying that this doesn't end up like a burned down city like we had in Seattle, Washington.
Well,
it will.
We had in Los Angeles. That sadly, that's what I was getting to, Queen.
Oh, it's going to happen. I promise
I
you.
hope that their behavior now is the limit as far as it goes, because as we all know, like, this is the question I had. What is it? Do you think the catalyst is going to be for it to be brought up to the next level of the kind of actions and behaviors we saw in other incidents that have happened with someone being injured or dying that became in some way or another either a movement head or a political head? That's what I was trying to get at a while ago. What do you think is going? What do you think? Do you think it's going to just die down as it is? Or do you think that this is going to be, like, sadly, I've heard other people throw the term around loosely, is this going to incite civil unrest and more violence? And if so, how does it get to that? That's what I was trying to ask a while ago.
Flora says in the chat, their daddy needs to make a statement soon and calm them down. Well, Flora, I don't see that happening, and I see it getting worse. Anything he says, it is not going to be conducive, in my opinion. I just feel that way. I don't see Trump making a conducive statement that will calm people down. I don't. I do not. Don't die.
I'm here. I'm listening. I'm just. I don't know.
What statement you think he's going to make that would be? You think he's going to make a calm statement after this?
Knowing Trump, probably not.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably not. No, he probably won't. Now, if he would be in a way more like Kennedy,
Can't be like Kennedy.
and
He almost was Kennedy today.
He could never ever be like Kennedy.
No. But I mean, far as for Kennedy, the one that's running right now, okay, he was like trying to say that it's just pretty much what you've been saying, Queen. I mean, it just, it ain't gonna be good. That's all I got to say. It ain't gonna be good tomorrow and the next day. It ain't gonna be good. It's gonna be real bad. I mean, it's gonna be bad. If it would have happened to Biden, it would have, and it didn't. It happened with Trump. Either way, it just ain't gonna be good.
No, it ain't gonna be good. And I think people need to start realizing that. That in the end, it's not even about a political title, because I think a lot of people get caught up in that. I mean, I've gone to the polls and voted, and I am a liberal, and I've voted conservative, and a lot of my ways are conservative. But the point is, people put too much stock in the title. You're banking on this and that versus, well, he's this, he's that, he rides with this party. There are a lot of things I don't agree with what Democrats have done. You understand what I'm saying? There are a lot of things I don't agree with what Republicans do. But that's what people need to understand. They're not going to always do what you think they should do.
Yeah.
You want this person to just stop the world and do exactly what you think millions of people that live in America, that one human is getting ready to just do everything you think they should do in your state, your jurisdiction. It doesn't work like that. This is how convoluted people think. They're in a bubble. They're delusional. There's no way possible that I can, let me finish, please. There's no way one human can do everything you think they should do in 50 states. It's not possible.
No, it's not.
And that's where all the anger and people get angry. So then next thing you know, who they voted for, now they're mad at them because of something that happened in their town or something that happened over in California. But it's not logical, because in the end, a president, he doesn't even have jurisdiction over the shit that goes on in county and state government. And I don't know why people don't understand that. Don't got no jurisdiction. It's your county and state leaders that help get stuff going where you stay. You understand what I'm saying?
And you know what?
Orchestrating the high level type situations, such as with the military or the border control, those type of things. But the little things, as far as the potholes and where the stop sign's supposed to sit, the president has no jurisdiction over that stuff. And for some reason, most Americans don't understand that.
And what y'all think Trump's going to do if he does get in there for 4 years? You want me to tell you what he's going to do? Me and my husband was laughing about it. We were talking about that. He said, you know what he's going to do? He's going to probably spend most of that 4 years trying to get back at everybody who wronged him.
Of course, and I agree. Because
he will.
That's the one thing that was troublesome about him is that all those people who were Republicans, and probably still are, and they supported Trump, he turned on them like white on rice. And that to me is not a decent person. I don't give a fuck what side of the coin you're on. That man is vengeful. Every person that ever had to speak up and defend themselves, because in the end, you have to stand account for you. Trump can't stand account for you. So he got caught up in a bunch of drama since he was up there, right? So you've been rallying and supporting this man. But then when you get thrown under the bus, he was nowhere to save you. And you had to save yourself, and he showed you what he thought of you. That to me is a very dangerous human being that don't even care about the people that were rallying with them. So that don't got nothing to do with being a Republican or a Democrat. That's a you problem. That's nothing to do with being Republican. You just grimy as fuck. And you don't even care about the people that care about you. And I noticed that with everybody, from the lawyer, the White House aides, every time you turned around in those first 2 years, everybody was fired. You can't sit here and tell me logically that makes fucking sense to you. Come on now. You're firing everybody in line. Who does that? Nobody.
Yeah.
You can't have an army and you just firing everybody. That don't got nothing to do with being a Republican. Absolutely not.
But on the other hand, I don't see where Biden really, to be honest with you, I don't see where he cared about the American people either, though, Queen.
That's
It's
right.
like it's like, when are we going to get a president in there that is really going to be what a president's supposed to be?
Yeah, but see, that's the issue. Everybody's got their own idealism on what a person should be doing. You see what I'm saying? So as I keep saying, you scratch the title, he, she is just a human being with 2 feet, 2 hands. And that's where everybody needs to get it together. You're banking on one person to be a savior. It's not possible. Because there's always going to be somebody that is going to disagree. They're going to disagree with you, and they're in your own camp.
That's true, Queen.
There's always going to be somebody that's going to disagree. So that's why it's going to always be a problem. So that's why it's always somebody pitting this side against the other, the Democrat, the Republican. What everybody needs to understand is that these are people with 2 feet, 2 hands. That is it. If you were to see them on the street, you wouldn't know if they was a Democrat or a Republican by looking at them walk down the street.
Yeah, you're right.
Personally, I do not like Donald Trump's behavior and a lot of the ways he acts.
Oh, he's arrogant. He's arrogant.
Yes, he is. But I don't base who I vote for off of their actions and behaviors. I vote for them based on their policies, and I vote for them based on their economic views. For me, I'm not like the rest of these other people running around out here. Oh, I'm going to vote for this person because I don't like the other, this, that. No, I vote on someone based on what I find in their history of what policies they are pro, say, and what ones they
Yeah, but you know what? But Regina, it don't matter what policy, because a lot of times they don't even go by that date. Once they get in there, they don't go by their policy. No.
No, and that's what exactly.
And you know what else? Look at the administration.
A lot of people, it's just for them to get the vote.
Yeah, and half the time, the administration, that's who's running it. Look at Biden. Poor. I mean, actually, I kind of feel sorry for him, because They leaving him in there too long. Poor thing, he's making a fool out of himself. You know, they should have took Biden out. He need. I mean, you know, he's not running nothing. His administration is running everything.
And that's something that I was going to say a while ago. Don't shoot me. But because we were talking about, you know, Donald Trump being evidently vindictive, going to take everyone out in the first 2 years of his presidency and stuff. But if we look at the history, this is what well, not every single, but most of the presidents who were one party to the other that flip-flop in and out of office, they've all done this. I mean, if you look, and I'm not trying to cause a riot or anything, but if you look at it, Joe Biden has literally done away with almost every policy that Donald Trump put into play when he was in office, and said he was going to do it because it was Donald Trump that did it. I mean, this is literally a game they play with us. They want us to be divided. This is what they want. They want us arguing, fighting with each other. They want us to have problems, because as long as they can convince us that we have problems, they can convince us that they are the ones that can fix it when they are not. And that, Queen, I completely agree on you with. That part, I completely agree on you with. Not one person can fix it. It has to be a collective. We have to do it together and quit being divided over every little thing.
No, I mean, because really in the end you're arguing. Really in the end it's BS. You can argue over the smallest things, morning, noon, and night, and in the end, a lot of the things that people are arguing over, the president doesn't even have jurisdiction over.
Exactly. You're being
the basic things that affect you, the president don't got no jurisdiction over. From the underground plumbing, see where I'm going? What they're doing with the stop signs, the potholes, the laws in your neighborhood, the HOA fees. Biden ain't got nothing to do with that, and another president ain't got nothing to do with it. Don't got no jurisdiction over your bank loans, how much your mortgage is, why your landlord raised your rent, why they won't fix your plumbing. See where I'm going? The everyday shit that affects Americans, the president is far removed.
Flora Mae Bunny, I could not agree with you more. Lobbying and term limits. I completely agree with you, because let me tell y'all something. Lobbying is the number one reason behind all of this. People and their agendas. It's not about our agendas as people in the community at all, even whenever anyone gets in office. All of the money they raise comes with an agenda. Everyone who donates that money has an agenda, and they will donate more money than anyone else to make sure that their agenda is addressed during that person's term than anyone else's agenda, whether it's good or bad for the public. And that's something I think we all need to be aware of. Lobbying in the United States is literally the reason for 99% of corruption. It's the reason most laws are passed. It is the reason most laws are passed is lobbyists. They pay and schmooze their agenda into law. And they add to the division. They really do. So, but yeah, I'm not like, to me, all of this, like, it is not this important for people to lose their lives over, you guys. It is not that big of a deal whether you like a politician or not. It's not. It's never worth anyone's life. It's never worth people that are just there practicing their constitutional rights, whether they were Trump supporters or not. It does not matter. They weren't there because they were trying to get shot and injured and this, that, or the other. They were there because of something they believed in. And whether we want to admit it or not, this country was founded on the fact that we should be allowed to believe in what we want to. And there is simply no rhyme or reason for this kind of violence. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you claim to be on or don't be on. Nobody deserves this. Period. Period.
Well, this is how it's going to be, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. This is a new world. This is how it is in the world, and it's a shame. We should be coming together as a nation, and not fighting and fussing and arguing. You know, we should be just coming together, and it's not going to happen.
No, because people are too far removed now.
Oh yeah.
I agree. It's too far removed. And sadly, they're going to, like, this whole bit is going to keep more people divided. Instead of everyone coming together and saying, this is wrong. We are not a people of a nation that are going to put up with this anymore. And us all coming together, this is only going to divide us further, is the sad truth.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
As long as people, the ones that have a good heart, and they have to stay the same. You know, don't let anything change them. Raise your children to be good people, and I just feel sorry for the kids coming up. The young people. I really, really do. They have no idea what they're in for. It's going to be so hard on them. You just got to pray.
Can you imagine that poor person that did die, that was a bystander? Can you imagine what their poor family is going through?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. My heart goes out to them, I tell you. That is so sad.
I can't even fathom. What this world is coming to whenever you just can't go somewhere because you support that idea for your own personal reasons, and you end up dead because of it, regardless of what those beliefs were. That is not what our founding fathers wanted for this country. They wanted us to have freedom because of religion reasons, but it extends to so much more than that. And I wish that people could stop all of the hate and the aggression, no matter what they believe in or what they don't believe in, what ideas they share and what ideas they don't share, and just say, look, you're a human being and I'm a human being. It's okay that we don't agree. It's okay. That's all right. It's not worth someone's life ever.
No,
period.
It's not. Well, Queen, I want to let you know something, okay?
No.
I don't know if anything I said upset you, but if it did, I'm sorry. And I love you, Queen.
You don't gotta apologize. You don't have to apologize. That you gave your opinion.
And Regina, the same thing, Regina.
I let you all speak.
I love you, Regina. I love you, Queen.
Oh, well, I want to give everybody an announcement. For those who don't know, Richard Simmons has passed away at the age of 76. He had just turned 76 and passed away.
Well, I grew up watching that man.
Yes, 76.
Well, I'll be.
He's no longer alive, Richard Simmons.
Wow.
That's bad. Well, my condolences go out to his family. I'm
just gonna play a little bit more of the news, and then I'm gonna check out of here just to see what the latest update is so far. See what they're saying about this incident here. Are you checking yourself down? Don't dive, or what are you doing?
What you mean?
Are you staying up, or are you going down?
I'm staying up. I'll stay up sometimes till 2:00 in the morning.
No. I mean on the live stream.
Oh, and on the live? No, I'm gonna stay. I want to listen.
Okay. So let's see what they're saying for a little bit.
Okay.
This is ABC 7 Chicago, everybody. Station I grew up on.
And the state police, like I said, it was just kind of a surreal situation to see something like this go down in our country.
Jim,
Josh, I can't imagine. We're actually looking at this video that you shared.
So right now it's shooter gone, spectator, bystander gone, and 2 people injured at the moment. 2 people injured.
Wow.
With us right now, and you see the emergency personnel coming down the stairs of the stands there at one point, holding a person who we had to blur the image, appeared to be in grave danger. What was that the moment when you knew that this was real?
A few moments before that, it clicked in my head. At first, like I said, it kind of sounded like fireworks, and then the progressive shots, and then he's Trump go down, and the Secret Service around him, and it was just like, oh, this is not a joke. Kind of it wasn't somebody playing around with fireworks or whatever, and and then once they start bringing people out that were injured, and and it became more than real at that moment.
And Josh, we've been hearing from so many witnesses tonight, really just a range of emotions from sadness to anger. Obviously their hearts going out to the people who were injured and killed. What's on your mind tonight?
You bring that up. I got multiple calls from friends, family, and relatives. I was heading out that way today, and we're like, "Are you okay?" Or, it was just everybody across the country, or other side of the country.
Let me stop right here. I have to say this. This is baffling to me. You are sitting beside somebody walking down wounded, and then another person is being brought down the stairs unalive or something. Why are they still sitting there? Please help me understand.
I don't understand that.
Yeah,
It's live. It is live on camera. Somebody's filming. They're bringing obviously a dead person or somebody injured, carrying them out because they're covering them up. I don't understand why are people still sitting there. Why would you not be trying to go to your car?
Exactly. See, that's what
Well, not only that, Queen, but if you're someone that's one of those people that is going to leave and run, or if you are, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. If you're someone that is going to stay behind, what on God's green earth are you doing recording someone else's pain and suffering instead of helping if you are going to stay because you're not smart enough to have self-protection?
So go put it on YouTube.
That's why I can't understand that when you have seen area views of a shooting in places, a lot of the people were running and didn't even know where the hell they were going. They just ran. And that's usually also how people get hurt because they get trampled on. But I don't understand these group of people. They're just sitting in the rafters while they're carrying a body by them. You cannot make me understand that.
I don't understand that. The only thing I can see is they in shock, drunk, or something. But I don't understand that either. My God.
I mean, they're standing in the stands. So your speaker who's running for the race, he's down. Secret Service is taking him off. And I have to tell you something else that's even baffling. They've got a photograph, a still shot of them trying to put Trump in the fucking car. He is still with his hand up like he don't want to get in the fucking car.
That's why I say he's pissed.
See, that right there makes that don't make no sense to me.
I mean, Ronald Reagan didn't do that when he got shot. He wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about the mindset. To me, is something wrong with him because I want to go get myself checked out. I can throw my hand up and do all that shit later. Hell, let me make sure my ear's still on. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
Sure all my body parts are still working. I can give a speech later. I can talk to the crowds later. Let me go get some help and make sure, you understand what I'm saying? That all my body parts are still functioning.
I'm with you there, Queen.
This ABC7, this is some weird shit I'm looking at.
I don't know. It just don't make sense. It really don't.
Close to the automobile. He ain't even trying to look like get in the damn car.
What's he want to do? Go back up to the podium?
I don't know, but I'm just saying most people, if they get shot wherever, you want to get seen by a physician. And I don't want to still be there. Why would I want to still be there? And I don't even know how many gunmen there are. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 1, if it's 2, if it's 3. I want to get the hell out of there. This is all.
Oh, don't worry. Melania gonna jump his shit when he gets home. I promise you.
Well, let me tell you something I read about a week ago. I don't know who the source is, but somebody said she has claimed that if he runs for president, she's not going back to the White House. I don't know if that's true or not, but I read that.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me.
She don't want to go back. She don't want to live up there. But that's the point. People don't understand that life. You give up a lot of your freedom and privacy to be in cahoots with somebody in a political office such as the president, vice president. You don't have any privacy to roam and do what you want and go to the grocery store when you want to. Understand what I'm saying? So she's probably now used to a couple of years of freedom, of half-ass freedom to roam and do what she wants. I can see why. I don't want to go back to that.
So I wouldn't.
Live. And then too, because of who she is, you really don't still have freedom because they still got Secret Service following you around.
Well, one thing I did say, I did tell my husband this. I said, let me tell you, okay, if the only reason why Trump is wanting to get back in there for 4 years is to go after all the people that wronged him, that's the wrong reason. And that ain't good. That's going to piss off a lot of people, a lot of Republicans.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. He had a lot of people in his own party, naturally that were in disagreement with him. And where I have the problem is just besides his tongue, but the people he just turned on that were there supporting him. That just was a very bad look. Besides all the other,
because they got a lot of Democrats. A lot of Democrats have flipped over to the other side. And boy, let me tell you, there are going to be a lot of people pissed off at him. I just hope I want somebody in there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. But boy, if he's in there for the wrong reasons, now that ain't good.
It's a gamble. And my thing too, like all the stuff that went on with the Twittering and stuff, they had said that they'd never heard of any politician, especially a president, that was so invested in what other people had going on. It was like a gossip magazine. You don't have a president commenting on every little thing that goes on in America. You know what I'm saying? Like something that happened with Paris Hilton or a rapper. What do you have to say about it? Why?
Yeah.
I just figured you got a lot to be more concerned with than what 50 Cent's doing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I don't give a damn what 50 Cent's doing. I got a country to run. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wasn't not gonna be caring about what the housewives say, but I noticed that he stayed on the Twitter a lot, and that did bother a lot of people. Like, this isn't normal behavior. Why are you so concerned with what regular civilians are doing and saying? You have an entire country to run. It seems like to me you'd be more concerned about policies and the military, the border. But he seems so consumed with regular people's lives, and that to me was bothersome as well. Why? Why be concerned?
Yeah. I don't know, Queen. I want somebody in there for the right reasons. They gonna get in there and do their job. Not to get in there to play around. It ain't no damn joke to run a whole country.
Oh, Vaughn. Well, you all probably gonna like this comment. Somebody in the chat says, "I think he staged it all." Wow, that's deep.
Staged what? This
being shot almost to
no,
death?
No. I don't agree with that. I don't think he stayed. No.
Ruth, I thought I heard Dr. Ruth pass. Also, condolences to Dr. Ruth.
No, this ain't staged. You gonna take a shot and
if he shot him anywhere else than almost dead and square in his head, then like if he'd have got shot in the shoulder or if he'd have got shot in the arm or something like that, I might be able to buy the whole it was staged thing. But the fact that man almost lost his head today, I cannot believe it was staged. I cannot believe.
No, this wasn't staged. No, I don't think it was staged. And it ain't because I'm saying it because it's Trump. This ain't no way it's staged. Oh my God!
If he did somebody's comment,
if he did something like that, oh Lord, have mercy, honey. There ain't no way. Ain't nobody gonna take a shot like that. Oh no.
Not off in the
No.
middle of a crowd of people that are his supporters that donate money to him either. I mean, does he
Exactly.
really want to risk that?
And he ain't gonna stage something and then take a chance that somebody got shot like they did, and 2 other ones got shot and they may not live. You know, no, I don't think he staged it. He is what he is, but I don't think he'd do something like that. He'd be a dumbass to do something like that. That fool did something like that. I swear to God, that would put it this way.
Oof.
I'd find out something like that was happening. I'd be damned if I'd vote for him. If that was come out where it was proof, receipts that he staged that, I guarantee you I wouldn't be voting for him. I wouldn't vote for nobody like that.
Did y'all see where it actually hit Trump? It was millimeters from his from his right lobe of his brain.
But you see, from what Newsmax was saying, it wasn't a bullet, that the shot hit a teleprompter and the glass shattered, and it was glass that cut him. But then another channel said that it was a bullet.
Well,
so I don't know. We don't know.
Something hit him, because when you watch it from the beginning, you can see something hit his ear because he touched it. And that's before they even jumped him down. He touched his ear.
Yep, he did.
Yeah.
He touched his ear, so something hit his ear.
Well, it either
but let's just be truthful. It don't really matter what it is. Somebody is dead with a rifle, so you can use the Dutch.
Yeah.
They weren't there to shoot at the podium and at the microphone.
No, they were there to end people's lives.
How do you have one person, a shooter dead, another one dead, and then maybe 2 other people injured because somebody had a gun? And then we have an eyewitness to say he saw a man on top of the roof with a gun. I don't think that person is lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think this was staged at all.
And obviously the frantic chaos that ensued with Trump supporters ducking for cover, scrambling to help. We talked to one man earlier today who was a physician. This was his very first Trump rally. He told me that he was near the person who was ultimately shot and killed. He rushed in to try and help. He said ultimately it was too late. He left here not too long ago after talking to the FBI. So we know that they're continuing these rounds of interviews with the eyewitnesses that saw exactly what unfolded here just hours ago with.
And Rachel, we know that there were children in the crowd, kids on the shoulders of their parents. We spoke to a local mayor whose wife was pregnant, who dove to the floor, to protect his wife. These just traumatizing stories that no doubt these folks are going to have to deal with and recover from in the days ahead. And Rachel, you mentioned sort of like the eerie scene there, but still that American flag illuminated over your right shoulder. Still a big test to come for this country. Rachel, thank you so much once again. Let's go back to Pierre Thomas in Washington, because Pierre, we are awaiting this police press conference. And are you getting a sense of what we're likely to hear in the coming moments?
Well, I'm being told by my sources that the FBI has identified the shooter. They believe they have a specific identity on the shooter. They are not releasing the name as of right now in terms of who this person is. I'm told the investigation is still at a very critical stage. They do not want any information released about the suspect until they can be absolutely certain that this person acted alone. The operating assumption right now is that this was a lone wolf, but again, it's a critical stage of the investigation as they scour over every bit of information they can find about this particular person. What was his recent history? Who was he communicating with? Did he post anything on social media? Again, male suspect. They expect to brief, give some basic information about the case thus far, not expected to name him just yet, although that could change with.
And Pierre, just to recap, as viewers might just be turning in, we're getting more information. You said that they likely identified the shooter, but haven't released that information yet. However, we have learned that they say that the shooter is a male, and the information that you're also getting about his position on the rooftop, what we know about that shooter's final moments.
Absolutely. 200 to 300 yards away, we've been able to see the position. The FBI has a photograph that they're working on. Our sources are confirming they believe that is the suspect. They know the vantage point. We're told that the shooter was taken out by a Secret Service counter sniper. That's how he was neutralized, killed by the Secret Service. Law enforcement officials, again, are now at the scene, FBI at the scene. The ATF will help oversee the ballistics evidence. The FBI is taking the lead because this is being investigated as a assassination plot. Now, again, the FBI director, the Secret Service director, the Attorney General, all briefed the President of the United States tonight. Also, the National Security Advisor was briefed. So you can see by the breadth of the people who were involved.
So from the footage they're showing, feel free to go back and watch this, ABC 7 Chicago. The building, which has a metal roof, this is a couple buildings, that building would be sitting in behind, I believe, the rafters, and then former Trump would be standing in front of the rafters where people sat. You understand what I'm saying? So the building would have been behind. So they would have had a clear shot of the back of his head.
Okay. But yet it hit to the side.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's not a sharpshooter, but hell, he did pretty damn good, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because your ear is attached to your fucking face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
And so that's the area view they're showing. Is the outbuildings that are right behind the rafters where people would have been sitting. So the people would have not even seen him behind you. Because, you know, naturally you're not gonna be looking behind you, you're paying attention to the podium. So that was a dangerous place, an interesting place. Matter of fact, that person is sitting on top of the building with the view of people in front of him, but they can't see him behind. They don't know he's behind them on top of a roof, and actually Trump wouldn't be able to see him behind on the roof.
Well, now, that's why.
That's probably the new question is why those buildings weren't surveyed or had.
That's right.
You know, Secret Service walking the buildings, checking the roof, drone footage. Why not have some drones to see who's walking about in between the buildings? Then you got to ask yourself, when did the person plan it? How long was he on top of the roof? Did anybody see him climb on top of the roof? Were the businesses open when he climbed on top of the roof? Just a lot of questions.
Well, that's why I say, like Trump says, somebody gonna be fired. That's all I got to say. Because to me, the CIA, FBI, whoever, they dropped the ball on this one. Because all that perimeter, they should have had a perimeter set up a mile away from this.
Okay,
they
so
should have
let's go
checked.
there. If you've got that close proximity, because when you see it, it's not far. You know, are you really going to trust these same people to watch you on your next journey into running and going in public places to speak? Because these are going to be the same people guarding your safety, and I don't think Trump realizes that. You know,
No, I don't think so either.
Downstairs, he's still, you know, pump fisted and all that, but then people are going to say, yeah, but those are the same people that were supposed to be guarding you. So just like somebody wants to say, oh, the security was tight right there. Okay, but that's not logical. Those buildings are not that far from behind where the rafters sat.
Wouldn't that be something if it wasn't an inside job?
Huh?
It wouldn't be the first time.
Wouldn't that be something if it was not an inside job?
I've seen maybe 2 or 3 comments. Somebody else in the chat in the early live I did said they thought it might be an inside job.
That's something I didn't want to sound all conspiratorists whenever I come in here, but that's what I'm thinking, you guys.
So who's the inside job? Who did it?
I don't know, but I will tell you this.
This a kid, so I'm supposed to believe who went and found a 20-year-old kid to shoot up President Trump.
Wait, this is a 20-year-old
Let me
kid?
explain this.
That's what somebody in the chat just said. It's 20-year-old.
Young minds are so easy to manipulate. Young minds are so easy to manipulate.
But right now they've got an ID on it. It's not saying. Let's finish here and see what they're going to tell us.
They're trying to assess what are the national security implications of this situation, because obviously it's the former president, leading candidate, running in the campaign for the Republicans, convention about to take place. It's such a critical moment, and law enforcement knows they've got to get this right. The Secret Service will have to answer some questions about why that particular rooftop was not covered. There are already hearings being called on to be held in Washington this month. That will be a postmortem, but right now the emphasis is on that suspect and whether there's anything to indicate anyone knew anything about this and whether he had any support.
And those security implications are significant because when this is the peak of the campaign, we've got the Republican convention this week, we've got the Democratic convention happening in August. Everything is supposed to ramp up in the coming months, and now they're going to have to reassess on in each campaign how they move forward, how they carry out these events. Pierre Thomas, thanks again. Once again, a reminder to our viewers, too, we're awaiting at any moment a press conference from law enforcement. We do expect to get more information. Pierre pointed out that law enforcement, they do believe that they have a suspect identified, but are not releasing that identity just yet. Another one of our correspondents, Aaron Kotursky, our senior investigative correspondent who's been working on this, is joining us now with more. And Aaron, do you have a sense of what else we could hear tonight?
I think we're going to hear a little bit about logistics. You heard Rachel mention how there's still people waiting for access to the venue to try to retrieve belongings. You may hear a little bit more about the Pennsylvania authorities and how they were able to assist in neutralizing the shooter who was officially the Secret Service has taken down by a counter sniper. We know that there were plenty of police involved. And whether the local officers were the ones who may have been first to identify that this person was headed for an adjacent rooftop. So all of that is still to the most urgent focus is on who this shooter is, perhaps a local man, and why. And then, of course, secondarily, why that rooftop was made available, why that was an option for him to try and climb up there so close to 300 yards from the former president.
Yeah, one of the many questions.
So that's a stupid question. Why? Well, why do you think he went up there? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, really?
I mean,
Lord have mercy.
because he thought he could, and he did.
Yep.
I think he went up there with one agenda.
So my thing is, the question is going to be, who was on the ground, and why was there no one in that vicinity of those outbuildings? Because there's also some other little low buildings that sat in front of the alleged, I guess, area where he was shooting from. So you've got these cream buildings, and then there's some lower buildings, about 3 or so sitting in front of that, and then a little ways up would be the rafters where people would sit. And it's a very small area, as that one guy said earlier, that saw the shooter crawling up on the building. It is a small area, you know. So I don't
This is the problem I have with where the shooter was. Okay, this is a building. This is a building that is directly, like literally, it's literally an advantage point for a shooter. This is like, I do not understand. That is the problem I have with this. The building that this shooter was on top of, called the Grassy Knoll, is the name of the building. That just added a little.
No, that's some shit right there.
Let me tell you what. That right there, just what? Like,
well,
you
it's like, maybe I'm missing something. What's the significance of Grassy Knoll?
Kennedy.
JFK, that's where he was, when they were passing, when they were going down the boulevard over there in Texas. That was the grassy, where it was the Grassy Knoll was right there.
Grassy Knoll, yep.
Yeah, that's where he passed through, by the Grassy Knoll. That's what was the name of that little area. That's ironic. That sure is ironic. That what a coincidence, huh? That's kind of weird. That
you can't make this stuff up. But listen, Queen, like it is the most obvious. If you look on Google Maps, if someone were going to try to assassinate someone from a rooftop, that is exactly the ideal spot they would do it from. And they didn't have that buildings rooftop secure. Like if you planned on assassinating someone from a rooftop, that would be the spot. There is no way Secret Service overlooked this. I'm
See,
telling you.
that shocks me. They should have had people up there. They should have had CIA sharpshooters up there. You know how this guy
Yes,
got up there.
exactly.
You know,
Thank you, Don't Dive. Thank you. That is the vantage point they should have had someone at watching to make sure there wasn't shooters.
they should have had them suckers in the trees, girl, hanging like
Yes.
damn monkeys.
No,
They should have.
No, it ain't even got to be that deep. How could you overlook the number one vantage spot for someone to shoot people, including the politician? Like, y'all don't understand. That would be the place I would choose if I were going to try to do that.
Oh, girl, don't be saying that now. Watch out,
No,
Regina.
I'm saying from a tactical point. Listen, I play tactical games. I play tactical games and stuff, and I'm telling you, that was the perfect spot for him to have a shot. Like, that should have been the one place they didn't overlook having someone. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Look at it. You pull up Google Maps and look at it. It's like, wait a minute. If I was going to try to do this, that's exactly where I would go to do it from. That is the best point. Like, how can I look at that myself and be like, well, that's exactly where I do it from? And people in the Secret Service overlook it. Don't Dive. This is what I have a problem with.
Well, Don't Dive, I'm going to ask both of you. So, do you believe it was deliberate not to have anyone on top of the buildings?
Was it deliberate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regina, I think your answer would be yes.
Yeah, it's deliberate.
Yeah,
I mean,
very.
it was planned. It was orchestrated. It was planned. It was all the above. I mean, somebody was wanting his ass dead. I think it wasn't no warning. Put it that way. Put it this way. The target, they missed their target big time. Okay. They hit somebody else and evidently two other people, but they like my brother-in-law said tonight. They wasn't a good sharpshooter. Put it that way, because
he just missed. That's all.
I'll tell you this much. I think he intended to shoot him
down. But if he did shoot him or hit something, he still was in good close proximity to keep going on until he got the target.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever played first player video games?
Girl, I ain't never played a video game in my life. Oh, except for the slot machine at the casino.
Well, let me tell you something. There are first player video games out here that you get more points if you shoot your targets directly in the face. And like, that made me think today, was this guy trying to shoot Trump in the face? Because if you'll think about it, he went to
I think he was trying to shoot him in the temple.
Yeah, I think it was. I think that Trump turning his head exactly then is why he's not dead. That's what I think. Like, I think it was just by the grace of God. That's what I think. That's crazy. I do think that this was an absolute intentional. They were trying to kill this man. Like, I don't think he's supposed to be alive as far as they're concerned now at all, Queen. I don't think this was staged. Like, there ain't no way I'm desperate enough to let someone aim a gun, a high-powered rifle, at my head for clout. Can you? Would you? Would you? No matter how good they were, Queen, would you let someone shoot at your head?
I think she fell off. Hold on, let me check this thing here. I think she fell off of here. Oh, Don't Dive. She must got disconnected. You got disconnected? Don't Dive? I don't know. She's having some issues.
I don't play.
Miss Dive, where are you?
But I've seen them played by my nephews and stuff.
I don't know where she's having problems.
I play World of Tanks. There's no human violence. I don't agree with human violence, period. And I don't play video games that condone human violence.
Okay, let me turn it on. I don't know what's going on with her. Her internet might be off. Let's see.
That need to be answered in the coming days. Aaron, thank you once again. Let's go back to Mark Updegrove, a presidential historian and contributor of ours who's been joining us. And Mark, earlier when we spoke, I asked you about some historical perspective on previous assassination attempts in this country. But now I'm curious, as we've been talking about political violence, as we've been talking about the rhetoric, can you recall a period in recent history that compares to what we're experiencing right now?
I think I would go back to 1968. 1968 was an enormously turbulent and tempestuous year in the life of our nation. We had seen the war in Vietnam drag out. We had seen North Koreans take a U.S. ship and hold American sailors captive. But in particular, we saw the assassinations of Martin Luther King in April of 1968, followed by the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy in June of 1968. It was an enormously dangerous and volatile time in our history, and I think it reflected the divisions in our country at the same time. 1968 really shook this country to its very foundations, and we see the divisions that we see today are somewhat reminiscent of what we had in the late 1960s with.
Mark, I got to say, in conversations I've been having with people recently, before this event even happened, there was this comparison to the 1960s, which, as you noted, was such a traumatic time for this country and pivotal in terms of all sorts of change that came after that. I think the idea that we are heading into a period that is anything close to that is frightening for a lot of people.
It was and it should be. I think we were tested as much as we have been in the modern era by the turbulence of the 1960s. And I think a lot of people wondered what the future of this country looked like. We went from that into the 1970s, which also had some uncertainty about it. We went into the Watergate scandal and the Vietnam War dragged out. So there was more uncertainty in that. But ultimately, we came out of those periods stronger, as we saw in the 1980s and into the 1990s. There is a cycle around this, but it is a very dangerous and disturbing time in our history, as we saw today. It's a poor reflection of where we are as a society at this moment in time.
Yeah, as we've been talking about throughout the evening here, as we're watching this live picture, once again, all of these images today, moments in history, President Biden en route back to Washington, D.C. After the events that unfolded today in Pennsylvania, the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Let's go to Mary Bruce right now, our chief White House correspondent. And Mary, we're seeing President Biden on Air Force One heading back to Washington, presumably right there at the White House in the coming moments.
He should be back here at the White House within the hour, with the president cutting short his planned weekend at his beach house in Delaware so that he can continue to monitor and track all of these developments as they unfold. We do know that he has been obviously continually briefed throughout the evening. He's going to be meeting here at the White House tomorrow morning with his Homeland Security team and other law enforcement officials. And of course, he did, as we know, actually speak to Donald Trump tonight, though we know little about what was actually said in that phone call. The White House remaining mum on what that conversation entailed. The president was asked a question about how that call went as he boarded the plane a few moments ago. He did not engage the press on that one. But we, of course, heard from the president earlier in the day, reaching out to the president, the former president, offering his prayers to him, saying he was glad that he was safe and doing well. And then, of course, the president issuing this really forceful condemnation of this violence that we are seeing in this country, saying that it is sick, that there's no place in America for this kind of violence, and saying that it's one of the reasons why we have to unite the country. Of course, this completely upends the race for this White House. It changes everything. There is no question about that. There will be plenty of time to unpack the politics of all of this, of course, but we are at least, getting a sense right now. The president's team and his campaign have hit the pause button. We're not sure how his schedule may change, but they are pulling all of their ads off of the air to try and use this as a moment to unite the country, arguing that this is not a time for politics. The former president's team, we are getting a sense of how they are going to lean into this, it seems. The Trump campaign has sent out a fundraising pitch, and in it they say, "I will never surrender." The president's team saying, "They're not after me, they're after you. I'm just standing in the way." I think we are going to see a big shift, perhaps, in the kind of messaging that is coming out of these campaigns. I'm sure this is something that both teams are discussing and trying to figure out tonight. But for right now, the president reacting to this first as president, not as a candidate necessarily.
Yes, they're trying to figure this out in real time, moment by moment. Mary Bruce, thank you. And again, we are awaiting a press conference coming up from law enforcement involved in this investigation to give us an update on what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, that assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump. But on some of those same notes there, I want to bring in Rick Klein, our political director, who once again is in Milwaukee at the site of the Republican National Convention. And Rick, on the point that Mary was making there about the Biden campaign trying to reassess everything and pause the campaign, or at least, some of the ads and some of the rhetoric, these are still two men who are trying to win an election. And this is a very important moment, not only for the former president, but for President Biden, who's been under extreme pressure about whether or not he's going to stay in this race.
Yeah, and with this comes at a very odd and tenuous time for President Biden, where he has been challenged by people in his own party about his ability to do the job. People questioning whether he's in charge, whether he has the mental ability to continue. The polls have shown that so many Americans have those kind of doubts, those kind of questions. And now comes this moment to challenge, to Mary's point, where he's got to be a president first and a candidate second. I can tell you from based on the conversations I've had already here, Donald Trump does not intend to let up in any way, shape, or form around his campaign. The fact that this convention is going on at...
She said it's on Fox. Let me see. One second. I don't see it. Hey, what there?
Your taste buds here, asking people.
Be all part of the after action, but yes, law enforcement was responding to check on several suspicious occurrences.
What were those suspicious occurrences?
That'll all be part of the investigation.
So you said that you're close to identifying the shooter. Could you at least confirm that he is from Butler County, Pennsylvania? Is there anything else? Did he have any affiliation with that company, do you know?
So again, we're not prepared at this time to provide the identity of the potential shooter. We're in the process of doing the confirmation, and once we have the confirmation, we'll release the name officially to the press. But at this time, we can't give any further information on the potential shooter. No, it's a matter of doing biometric confirmations. So there was no identification on the individual, as an example. So if we're looking at photographs right now, we're trying to run his DNA and get biometric confirmation on.
Do you have a comment as to what police found left behind? Any possible devices? Find any extra guns? Just anything else that you want to comment?
Not at this time. No, we're still in the process of an active investigation. So we'd like to reserve releasing any information like that until we have more facts. From the FBI's perspective, no. We did not have any specific threat information related to this event.
You talked about how it happened so quickly, and we know that there is at least casualties and things at this point that we're aware of. It could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Comment more about that and how it was taken care of so quickly.
So I think the credit goes to not only the Secret Service who was on site, but also the state and local partners who were there on site were able to react immediately when the incident occurred.
Do you know how many officers fired their weapons?
I do not.
I understand that it's very early and there's still going to be a lot of questions, but I mean, is this a failure of security?
Really, at this point, we're not going to make that assessment. There's an active investigation. A lot of things need to occur investigatively to make those determinations of what, if any, failures there were. So really, we can't comment on that at this time.
You guys say Secret Service can check those buildings, or we're keeping a close eye, or?
Really have to defer to Secret Service for those questions. Are you saying the location where the shooter was located? I don't have any information on that. You'd have to defer to Secret Service.
When do you think you will release? When will the name of the shooter be released? I mean, any of when that might happen, tomorrow, or?
So that'll be, as soon as we've confirmed 100%, we're willing to release that. So if we have, as far as the contact information for the press, we should be able to do that within the next few hours, I imagine.
There was people being checked out far from here, also heard a possible related scene in Bethel Park. Is there anything you can tell us tonight about other areas where law enforcement may be searching in relation to this?
Again, right now, we're tracking down all leads and doing all interviews and tracking anything that we can regarding suspicious locations, vehicles, locations, interviewing individuals. That's all related to this event, but I can't confirm or deny anything that's going on beyond that. As far as the details of the weapon?
Yeah, what kind of rifle was used until it's confirmed?
Okay, until we have the confirmation of who the shooter is, and we'll release that as part of the investigative details later.
You know, extra resources, and one of the things that you said was bomb technician. So is this standard procedure, or do you have reasons to believe that there are bombs somewhere in Butler County? Just want to keep talking to that.
It's primarily standard procedure of any suspicious packages. In this case, there was identification of suspicious packages around where the shooter was, and so we deployed, in an abundance of caution, bomb assets to make sure that those were cleared for investigators to move safely in the area. We're still working on, it's still an active crime scene, so I'm not going to say that the scene is 100% clear at this time. The Secret Service wasn't available for the press conference at this time. Really anything. I don't have specifics on what they were looking at, but there's people in the crowd will leave bags as they're fleeing the scene like this. So any suspicious packages we have to treat as it may be an explosive device. So it was immediate, and we're still trying to figure that out. So we'll wait till we have more definitive information regarding that investigatively.
What about the person in the crowd? Do you have any information about how they were killed?
My understanding was it was from the shooter, but again, those will be details that are released later.
Homes or apartments as a part of your method of identifying the individual?
So if that's where the leads take us, absolutely.
Was Donald Trump hit with a bullet? Do you know for sure, or was it something else after?
I don't have that specific information as far as the injuries to the former president.
I understand you're not releasing the suspect's identification right now, but as you know, this person knows you got to see somebody that you guys have been looking at, the drug scenes possibly being on volume, et cetera, et cetera.
Again, the information that we currently have, we're looking at that obviously very intently. And as we know that information, we'll release that as well. So we'll need to plan another time for a follow-up press conference. We're looking at all investigative leads and all everything from, and that's why we ask the public, because I'm sure there'll be cell phone video, there'll be all kinds of information that we'll use to fully flesh out exactly what happened here.
I understand you can't say what type of gun it is. Do you know how many shots were fired?
I don't.
And
I don't have that information as far as that. That'll come out in the investigation as well.
Is there identification tonight on the other victims?
As far as the civilians,
Yeah.
So we do have identification on those. We're not prepared to release it at this time. We have notified a number of family members, but they have not had an opportunity to notify extended family and things. I would confirm for you that we did have one individual killed. And I know I heard somebody say about 2 victims. There were 3 in total besides the former president. So 2 critically wounded, 1 killed.
At this point, you know, they were sitting near each other and where in relation to the former president?
I don't have their exact seating by individual. Again, that'll all be part of the investigation, but their shots were scattered somewhat, and so they weren't just into one particular location.
you're saying just one fatality as of right now?
Yes,
The shooter, one fatality?
the shooter plus 1 fatality.
Okay.
So there was 1 victim of the shooter who was killed, and then the shooter was killed. Yes, ma'am.
But as they said, say you saw a semi-automatic rifle used by the shooter.
I've heard those reports as well, and again, we do have a good idea of what the weapon was, but again, that's all part of the ongoing investigation. And I'm not trying to be cagey about that. You know, when the SAC talked about the need to be very methodical and to be cautious with that scene, we are doing just that. We don't want anybody else getting hurt. And candidly, there are some concerns that we'll be able to talk more about later on about just what those concerns are and continue to be. That's all part of the investigation.
There are a lot of really angry people. Are you monitoring? Has there been any threats in response to this? Or are you just worried if there been any specific threats?
That's certainly a concern, and you know, we're monitoring that whole situation. I mentioned that we're bringing a lot of assets to bear, and so like the FBI, utilizing their analysts, we also have the Pennsylvania Criminal Intelligence Center. We will utilize the resources of our intelligence division and the Criminal Intelligence Center to be able to monitor for concerns about any threats, regardless of the side of the issue or the political spectrum. We want to make sure that we try and avoid any further violence.
I know nothing specific.
No, sir.
Can you say anything about the other folks who were injured or killed, the adults, male, female, anything else?
They were adults and they're male.
Oh, wow, great.
Yes.
How difficult it is in the department to know all your money from talking to family members, civilians who were down, rallying, trying, celebrate their election. What are those conversations like, and how do you kind of through that?
We have trained investigators and we're partnered hand in hand with the FBI again because we've got some federal violations, some state violations. And so our investigators are going out and methodically. We have a large team of investigators that are going out, dividing up these interviews and trying to conduct them as quickly as possible. And then there'll be follow-ups. With the FBI asking for people to call in tips, I have no doubt that we will receive a lot of additional information that will also require follow-up. But again, we're working very well together, and it's only a short matter of time until we get through all of those interviews.
How close and cold was it for President Trump?
There were no police hit with bullets.
From your experience, how close and cold was it for?
I'm not going to speculate or comment on that.
Have any of you talked to the president? Did any of you have any kind of reaction?
No.
Law enforcement agencies were tasked with securing this particular rally outside the Secret Service.
Well, Secret Service always has the lead on securing something like this, but then they work very closely. And I hate to use the word routine, but it is a fairly routine matter for all of our agencies to work jointly with the Secret Service. And it really depends on the venue, on what information is out there, what number of resources are devoted to it, and we work with them to provide whatever is requested by the Secret Service, but they're the lead in that security.
Was there anything about this venue that made it particularly difficult to secure?
You know, I would defer to the Secret Service to answer that. They would have done the initial assessment.
Was the rooftop on what was being secured? Was the rooftop given its proximity to the event part of that process?
It's my understanding that was outside of the perimeter. We're not going to comment on anything about the shooter.
Has the agency denied Trump's team extra security? Any of the agencies that are out there?
Not that I'm aware of.
If Trump had been the nominee already, would he have had additional security for this event?
There again, Secret Service has the lead, and I'm not going to comment or speculate on what may or may not be provided at any given point, depending on their status as a candidate. What I will tell you is that in my experience, the Secret Service does an excellent job of maintaining security on protectees. They're very cautious. They don't hesitate to ask for resources, and candidly, we don't hesitate to supply those resources.
You're asking for the public's help. Can you elaborate and be more specific about what you would like to see from the public? Is videos, photos, personal accounts?
I think the videos and photos would be very helpful. And I think that once the shooter is identified, anyone that has specific information on that shooter, that would be very helpful as well to help us assess motive. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we are absolutely not taking for granted that this was a lone wolf attack. And so we would be looking for any additional information that might point us toward anybody else that may have had a hand in this.
Sir, at this point, what is the main focus of the investigation? What's the most important thing for you right now, a few hours ago?
Well, there's not any one single focus. I mean, certainly the immediate focus was life safety, getting the former president out of there, and to care, getting care to the other victims, and trying to secure the scene as quickly as possible. It shifted then from a life safety priority to then an investigative priority. And so I guess if I had to point to where we are right now, the single greatest priority would be to identifying a motive and whether there was anyone else involved.
We're just beginning the political season. Are you guys concerned with all of these rallies that happen and how they're set up? Or is this gonna change maybe the venues?
Again, I would refer you to the Secret Service in terms of what they work out with the campaigns. We will continue to supply resources, as I'm sure the FBI will, and local partners as well.
It was quite a few days ahead that people get ready for this truck rally from a law enforcement perspective, and we announce an event like this all that time, we have to week out. Does it give people more time to fight something like this?
Well, I suppose, but there's a balance. I would think that any of the campaigns on either side try to weigh. I mean, the point of them announcing it, I suspect, is because they want the crowd. And so it's not up to us in law enforcement to tell them when they should announce or how they should announce or how they should conduct it. We offer our best advice. Again, working hand in hand with the Secret Service, offer our best advice of how best to secure and protect that venue.
Sir, considering how many people were there, and you have packed in there, and you have somebody in an elevated position with potentially a high-powered rifle, how lucky is it that we were only talking about a couple of victims, as sad and tragic as that is?
Well, we're certainly grateful that we don't have even more victims. And again, in terms of how this could have occurred, that it will be part of this after-action report and an investigation that occurs so that we can hopefully ensure that something like this doesn't happen again.
Has an autopsy been conducted yet, or is it scheduled?
It has not been conducted yet. I do not.
If somebody has some video of the photo, where should they send?
So we have the 1-800 call FBI if you have audio tips, and then we set up a specific tip line for audio and video, and that's fbi.gov/Butler.
And they should send you just like any video?
Anything that anyone has that is related to this incident that they think may be of assistance investigatively, we'll take anything and we'll analyze it, and we'll make the determination if it's of investigative value.
Go
ahead.
So for what you were talking, it sounds like law enforcement only knew he was up there until shots were fired. Is that what you're hearing?
So that is the assessment this time. That
So are you surprised that a sniper was able to fire off a handful of shots at the former president? I mean,
again, we're still working through the security apparatus that the Secret Service had in place, what potentially happened. That there's going to be a long investigation into exactly what took place and how the individual was able to get access to the location, what type of weapon he had. All that is really days, weeks, and months of investigation.
you know, like 4 or 5 shots.
It is surprising, but again, to get the truth, all the details of that will come out later in investigation.
Back to the perimeter of this building, I people saying that this building is very high vantage point, some 100 meters away from where this is happening, isn't part of that. Right? What goes into that conversation over what is in and out and why wouldn't that be?
Again, the Secret Service really needs to answer that question. They conduct the initial site survey. They do the initial security assessments and determine where the different security locations should be. And they're the ones who are in charge of securing the scene. We, along with other state and local assets, are there to support the Secret Service and their mission.
How many troopers and agents were at the rally obviously before the shooting, and how is that number determined? And should perhaps there have been more?
So I don't have the specific numbers. I doubt you do as well.
No, I can speak just for PSP. We've had physically on site there probably 30 to 40 members of PSP, but we also have additional resources in the area. We utilize aviation, for example, and a variety of other resources, dogs to sweep beforehand that really aren't counted in that. And again, the number is driven by what the request is from the Secret Service. You know, just in their defense, I mean, what I would want to say is it is incredibly difficult to have a venue open to the public and to secure that against any possible threat, against a very determined attacker. That's a huge lift to try and do it. And, you know, again, the investigation will really give us an opportunity to take a look at where any failures occurred and what can be done better in the future.
Do you know what another briefing might be held?
We don't have one scheduled, but I would tell you we will let you know, give you plenty of notice. Certainly, as soon as additional things develop that would be noteworthy or of interest to you, we'll get that scheduled and have another with you.
Locally, what can residents, businesses expect to happen with the investigation in the next couple of days? What's going to be going on there?
Well, again, the interviews will all be occurring, and so they may see law enforcement in their communities. People came from a wide area to come to this rally, I'm told. So, you know, there's going to be law enforcement fanning out, and as additional calls, photos, videos come in, you know, those additional interviews will result in law enforcement being out in the community conducting those interviews. But otherwise, they really shouldn't see any other significant impact in the community.
Whether it's a male or female, the homicide, the bystander who died?
That's a male.
A male?
Yes.
Now, I'm from a European outlet from Poland, and I'm already getting text messages from back home, and people are asking, how did this happen? What's going on in America? I know that is a philosophical question, but how could you talk to the people outside the United States about what happened here in Buffalo?
Well, again, what I would say is it's a tragic incident that occurred. We're not in a position to start second guessing how or why or anything else at this point. Just know that it will be thoroughly investigated. If there is anyone to prosecute, that will be done, and we'll move forward. But I don't have a good answer for you.
We'll just take one last question.
I know that PSP said that you guys were not aware of any additional requests from the Trump team for security. What about the FBI? Was there an additional request for additional security from the Trump team, and was that denied in any way, shape, or form?
No. No, there was no additional request for security that was ever denied by the FBI.
What does the FBI do in these events? Like, what is your role?
So we showed up after the fact. We were monitoring the event, but it was once the incident occurred that we come and we take the primary jurisdiction for the investigation. And thank you. We'll as we have additional information, we'll provide it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, Andrew Kraft back here in the anchor chair. You were just listening there to officials from the FBI and from the Pennsylvania State Police and from Butler Township, Pennsylvania law enforcement as well here. We're going to go over some of the key highlights. And the FBI put out this statement. They are asking the public for information in the form of audio, video, what have you. They said the FBI has assumed the role of the lead federal law enforcement agency in the investigation of the incident involving former President Donald Trump that occurred earlier today in Butler, Pennsylvania. Special agents of the FBI Pittsburgh field office responded immediately to include crisis response team members and evidence response technicians. We will continue to support this investigation with the full resources of the FBI, alongside our partners of the U.S. Secret Service and state and local law enforcement. Anyone with information that may assist with the investigation is asked to call our tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI. And if we could take that tweet full here, that's great. So you can see the number 1-800-CALL-FBI there as well. Now, in the meantime, we are going to be replaying that press conference a little bit later on. We're going to go over some of the key highlights. You heard there first from Kevin Rojek. He's the special agent in charge of the FBI Pittsburgh field office. You also heard from Joseph Price, the ATF assistant special agent in charge of Philadelphia, and Colonel Christopher Paris. He's the Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner as well. You also heard from the Lieutenant Colonel George Pippins of the Pennsylvania State Police. Let's go over some of these key highlights that we got from that press conference. Still no identification on the suspected shooter. They are using FBI resources. Now, remember what was confirmed, which we had heard earlier this afternoon, that the shooter did not have identification on them. We now know that has been confirmed. No suspect ID on the shooter as well. Law enforcement says it's working close to identifying the suspect. They say they are close. They say they have a tentative identification, but they made it abundantly clear they were not going to release the identification of the suspect during that press conference there. They don't have a motive yet for said suspect. They're working tirelessly to figure out a motive. They're asking the public for help. We just put up the FBI tip line there for rally attendees to call and offer possibly video or audio evidence that they might have. They are confirming the investigation is an assassination attempt on a former president. They're working with federal, state, and local agencies as well. State police has been in contact with the governor, Josh Shapiro. They say there is no existing threat to the wider community at this point in time. Also, the FBI said that they were looking into several suspicious occurrences ahead of the rally. So hopefully, and they were asked about this, that they're going to have more details on a yet to be undetermined next press conference. We don't know when that's going to be. They indicated there is going to be another one. We just don't know when or where as well. But this, they said they were looking into several, quote, suspicious occurrences ahead of the rally. Don't know entirely what that means. They said it there as well. They confirmed, like I said, the suspected shooter did not have identification on them. Now, the FBI was deferring a lot of questions to the Secret Service. Now, you might know, and you probably noticed, I made a point of this, the Secret Service was not there. It was not represented at the briefing that we just heard, that we just watched there. So take of that what you will as well. They said this, the FBI, of course, they could not make it in time to the press conference. Also, they said they have a good idea of what the weapon was that was used in this. Remember, we have referred to it from our reporting as an AR-style weapon. They were not willing to say yet what that weapon was. They said that's part of the ongoing investigation. That's been a question I've had all throughout the course of the afternoon and evening here. What weapon was it? What type was it? They said they had a good idea of it, but they were not going to disclose or divulge that as well. They say this is a very active crime scene still. The campaign rally site at the stockyards there in Butler. They say they're being cautious with the scene. They say some ongoing concerns, but they were not willing to elaborate. They confirmed one rally attendee was killed. All we know about that is that attendee was male. 2 others were wounded. We know those 2 others were males as well. They say a lot of bags and other personal items were left at the rally, so much so that some of them were searched, and there was somewhat of a heightened presence on some of these suspicious, nondescript bags still at the rally site that were investigated. That's what they told us. They said when attendees scrambled, law enforcement had to check out all of those items to make sure they did not pose a threat to the ongoing investigation now at that active crime scene in Butler. They say investigators are going at it methodically. They say no law enforcement was struck by gunfire or bullets. Secret Service had the lead on securing the event, and they worked with law enforcement. You heard that question there. Did the Trump campaign ask for more protection in the wake of this? They could not comment on that as well. They didn't have those details. They say no autopsy has been conducted yet on the shooting suspect. Also, you heard there that Polish journalist asking, what does this say about the United States of America? How do you describe this to foreigners watching from across the seas there at what is happening in the United States of America there? He wouldn't speculate or comment on that as well. He says if there is anyone to prosecute, we will. That's what the police said as well. In the meantime here, we do want to go to a quick commercial break. On that security question, though, before we do that, Jennifer Griffin there at the Pentagon saying officials, Secret Service protection for former President Trump was strengthened recently, and it was normal as RNC convention approached, suggestion that DHS rejected the request by the Trump team for more protection. Not true there. Coming from Jennifer Griffin, officials saying that to her there. So wanted to make sure we stipulated that. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll be diving into more details from that press conference you just watched live. We'll see you in 2 minutes.
All right, that's Fox News. A lot of crazy questions asking the motive. Well, use your own discretion why the shooter shot at Donald Trump. Things left behind by people. Don't know what they were looking at that heightened their senses. Shooter not revealed yet. You actually have to ID the person, and then also, I'm sure, notify next of kin as any homicide. Something else I meant to mention, and I forgot just that quick what I was going to say. Something about what we said in this commentary. I can't even think of what I wanted to say.
Uh-oh.
Interesting. During a commercial break, 2 minutes. Oh my goodness.
I do know after hearing that commentary, I'm even more convinced now that this might be something bigger, because I'm just saying from a strategic vantage point, anyone that plays any kind of video games knows what I'm talking about. Like, that would be, go look at it on Google Maps. It is the place to do that from. So I don't know how Secret Service overlooked that building from a vantage point, let alone how now they're saying there was suspicious occurrences going on. And then they have this guy yelling at them and the police and everything, and the guy says they had their binoculars looking at him and everything, and this still happened. Like, how? Wow. That's the part that gets me about it. Like, so much to unpack there.
Something you said I wanted to touch on. Damn, I can't remember what it was. I didn't write it down. Well, they also mentioned mentioned that Secret Service wasn't there because they couldn't make it. Don't know what that's about. And there was something else he said I wanted to touch on. I can't even remember what the hell it was. I'll have to go back. A lot of questions.
I'm Andrew Kraft, 9:30 here on the West Coast, 12:30 there on the East Coast in Butler, Pennsylvania. We're going to get more details and more updates on what exactly transpired today and go over some of the highlights of that press conference you just watched. Well, let's go out now to my friend Fox's Connor Hansen there live in New York with the latest. He's going to get us up to speed. Connor, if you could walk us back, summarize this marathon of a day. What more are you hearing?
Well, that's right, Andrew. So much to talk about here and so much has happened. You talked a little bit about that FBI and state police presser. We'll get into that a little bit. But just for some of those people who are watching this video, again, we're being told that President Trump is okay. He's saying it himself. We're still waiting for updates on where exactly he is. The New York Times report says plane did take off from Pittsburgh. The governor of Pennsylvania says he did leave the area. We know he was treated for that gunshot wound to his ear, but a shocking moment. That shooter was killed. One person attending the rally was killed, and 2 others at least were critically wounded. All adult men, we're learning now. And again, just take a look at this absolutely shocking video. Trump could be seen reaching for his face and neck, then quickly ducking behind the podium as his Secret Service detail rushed the stage. Several loud bangs continue. The former president appearing to be injured, but still pumping his fist to supporters before he was whisked off the stage. A close-up shot shows blood coming from the former president's ear. A spokesperson for the Trump campaign also weighing in, saying, quote, President Trump thanks law enforcement and first responders for their quick action during this heinous act. He is fine and is being checked out at a local medical facility. Witnesses who were at the rally described the frightening moments when they realized what was happening.
Somebody started yelling, hit the ground, hit the ground. And when I looked over, then I saw the smoke from the gunfire.
Just heard pop, pop, pop. Right away, maybe firecrackers, and you're kind of stunned. And then fire, and then like return fire, and then get down. So we got down, and we huddled, and we just started praying.
President Biden addressing the nation after the shooting, denouncing the violence, and wishing Trump a speedy recovery.
The idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody.
And we do know now that President Biden did call and speak with former President Trump. And Andrew, I know we were both listening closely to that FBI and state police press conference. The FBI coming out clearly calling this an assassination attempt. They're still not identifying that shooter, though they did say that could be coming soon. They're working on that right now. They still don't have a motive for this person, not getting into any of those details. One thing I thought was interesting, the FBI saying they didn't have the specific threat of something like this happening ahead of time here. Still so many questions, though, about how somebody could climb up onto a roof so close to such a high-profile event. A lot of those questions, as you noted before the break, were being deferred to the Secret Service, and no representative from the Secret Service was there. So still so many questions that we do expect.
I want to stop right there. I just remember what I wanted to touch on. The foreign guy from Poland who asked about how this was able to happen. This seems like an idiotic question due to the fact that in foreign countries, political figures are assassinated and they're actually carried out daily. So I just find it weird saying how could this happen here? What do you mean, how could it happen here? As they said, if a person wants to try to get to you, they will exact whatever measure they want to exact a crime, because crime happens every day here in the United States. So to act like you're shocked, that somebody tried to attempt to kill somebody is baffling coming from a foreign country where they assassinate people often. But you don't really hear it often here in America. Daily occurrences, people trying to exact murder on politicians, but overseas it happens like on the regular. So I thought the question's kind of strange to me, maybe because they don't hear politicians being assassinated here or attempts on their lives. But the point is, no matter who you are, if a person wants to exact a crime against you, they will do whatever they need to do to try to exact it. Now, the next question is about the Secret Service. Don't know when they're going to respond. I don't know if they're going to catch flack, if anybody's going to have to be, as they say, re-altered, removed in their positions pertaining to this debacle that took place in Butler yesterday. But many people are going to question, as he just said, the vantage point of the shooter on top of the roof. Why was there no security measures in those outbuildings where somebody should have been walking around looking at those places? I'm not going to say what they should not have done. I just know most people are just going to assume, well, in the general area where you're having the rally, it would be assumed that you would have people on the ground, whether it be Secret Service, state troopers, police, sheriff, whomever, walking around each perimeter in close proximity, even in advantage of shooting, because I don't know much about heavy artillery, how far you can shoot, but some might say, well, if it's a mile or so, I don't know. You need to have all vantage points looked at. So that's probably going to come up for debate.
Another press conference at some point, Andrew.
Yeah, Connor, at some point. We don't know when or where just yet. But this moment when they refer to suspicious occurrences, they're ahead of the rally. No doubt that's going to have to be answered for as well. Many members of Congress, including Speaker Johnson and Chairman Comer, are calling for some of these officials from the Secret Service to come before their committees and explain exactly what happened as well. They also confirmed that no identification on the suspected shooter as well. And you could maybe make the leap that is why they are being so cautious, that they said they have a tentative identification, but they don't want to release it yet, because that's the question on so many of our minds. Who did this, right, Connor?
That's right. They're even going as far as taking DNA samples, trying to make sure they're absolutely sure before they identify someone in such a high-profile crime, an assassination attempt on a former president. Another thing I forgot to mention earlier, you have so much going on in a situation like this. The FBI even looking into some suspicious packages. They had to bring their bomb techs in to take a look at just in case, to be safe. Not going into a lot of details about the weapon, although we heard it was an AR-style rifle. So much still to unpack here in this investigation. It's still very much a crime scene there in Butler, Pennsylvania. And it sounds like we're just going to have to wait and hear more from the Secret Service on how exactly this happened.
All right, Connor Hansen there live for us in New York. Connor, can't thank you enough. Talk soon.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, in the meantime here, we do want to provide you more details. It's about 9:36 here on the West Coast, a little after 12:30 there in the very early Sunday morning. In the meantime here, we're getting this in. The Trump campaign has created a GoFundMe account and a GoFundMe page for the victims who were injured and the victim who was killed in this as well. There you say support for Butler, PA victims. President Trump authorized just about, not even 10 minutes ago. It was at $9,000. It's now at $57,000, almost $58,000 out of a $1 million goal there. So you can say this President Trump authorized GoFundMe page for so many Americans to donate to now the families of some of these victims, two of whom are critically injured, being treated at Allegheny County Hospital, one of whom lost their life today. We were learning from that press conference, all of these victims were males as well here. That was a new piece of information that we got here. So President Trump has authorized this account as a place for donations to the supporters and families wounded or killed in today's brutal and horrific assassination attempt. All donations will be directed to these proud Americans as they grieve and recover. May God bless and unite our nation. So wanted to make sure we got that in there as well. That is from the Trump campaign. So we do want to take just a quick commercial break. Before we go, we are getting more details as well into some of those individuals who were injured today at this campaign rally. I want to put this tweet up from Republican Congressman Ronnie Jackson. He tweets this: "My nephew was injured at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Thankfully, his injury was not serious and he is doing well. My family was sitting in the front, near where the president was speaking. They heard shots ringing out. My nephew then realized he had blood on his neck and something had grazed and cut his neck. He was treated by the providers in the medical tent. Thank you to all those that have reached out to check on him. Please join my family in praying for all who were injured and the life lost. The president and the survivors are lucky to be alive." We do know that there were many members of Congress, including from the Republican Pennsylvania congressional delegation, also the GOP Senate candidate in Pennsylvania, Dave McCormick, and his family were also there as well, seated in the front row, as so many luminaries, local, state, and federal, who attend some of these election rallies and campaign rallies as well. So Ronnie Jackson, of course, who served as the White House physician for former President Obama and former President Trump, and is now a Republican member of Congress from Texas. Wanted to get that in there as well before we go to a quick commercial break. In the meantime here, we will see you in 2 minutes. When we come back, we'll be breaking down more key details of that press conference you just watched. We'll be showing you that press conference again in full at the top of the next hour.
All right, everybody. Live now with Fox is the source if you're curious to the information you're hearing.
I don't know what to say, Queen. I'm a little upset finding out a kid got hurt. You know what I mean?
Say what?
Wasn't he just talking about a kid that got hurt?
No, I hadn't heard him a kid.
That wasn't a kid he was talking about?
I just heard him say nephew. I don't know if that was an adult or what.
Okay, I guess I assumed it was a kid because he said nephew, but still, it's just... Wow. I'm confused because I just don't understand how it can get to the point in the world. Like, I thought that's what this country was above and beyond. How it can get to that point that someone can kill someone else or try to hurt someone else over their views and what they believe in. Like, I thought that, I guess I just blindly hope we would be better than this by now. Like, I don't get it. I don't get any of this evil. Like, I don't know how it gets to this. Like, even arguments and stuff like that, I never did understand. Like, how does it get to the point that your opinion or your viewpoint is worth someone else's life? Like, what makes us?
Well, let me iterate right there. Just like being on this platform here, anything I do or say, period, whether I'm on YouTube or not, can cause me bodily injury. Somebody don't like what I have to say. So now factor in being on a public platform and I'm saying things about people that maybe somebody don't like. You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So that's why we're talking about incitement earlier. You can do and say things that can incite somebody to decide to pop off. It's not saying that what they're doing is right, because people pop off every day. But there are a lot of times people do and say things that will garner somebody to pop off. It's just the way it is. You can get hurt and have done nothing to anybody. You know, standing at the ATM or standing in a store buying a soda pop, somebody decides to come up and rob you. Well, you don't know that person. You didn't say anything to them out of the way. That's the day that the devil decides to pay you a visit. So it's the same thing with what happened in Butler yesterday. Somebody don't like him. Somebody didn't like him.
I do find it interesting that they're saying that this person was so young, and that hasn't been confirmed yet, but I speculate there's a little bit of truth into what people are saying and who others have figured out this man is. I'm not 100% sure on that. but I do suspect it will be a young person. Sadly, your frontal lobe of your brain is not completely developed at that time when you're so young in life, and people are so easily manipulated, and especially when it's such a hormonal time in your life too, and your frontal lobe hasn't even developed. And sadly, it's all with the people that are surrounding us. I mean, this come from somewhere, you know what I mean? Like this person didn't just decide, okay, I'm gonna go do this one day out of the blue. Like something influenced this. And I don't get it though. I don't get it because I've never been able to be influenced to the point to argue in anyone else's agenda to want to hurt another person, period. Like so I don't get it. I guess I'm at a loss here. It's horrible. That's all I see. I see horrible, Queen. It's horrible.
Well, as I said, there's always going to be somebody that is not going to like what you have to say. That's just the way it is. And I tell people that all the time about being up here on a public platform, that it can lead to something later. And that's what I don't think a lot of people understand about speaking publicly. At some point, you do have to own the things that you say. And a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that because it's easy to just say it's black and it's white. There's no gray area. It's either right or it's wrong. Well, people don't view life like that. That's why you have what happened today, because somebody don't view it as this or that. You do have to own the shit you put out into the universe. I talk about that all the time on this network.
Right, you do. Yeah, and you're right. It's just, wow.
And a lot of people aren't going to ever say, well, you know, I don't care what a person say, a person still shouldn't hurt them or shoot them. Like I keep saying, everything's about perception.
It's all deception. I completely agree with you. 100% Queen. It all starts from a place of ignorance caused by deception and lies. Every bit of the hate. It's so sad. It's so sad. Like, oh. And you're right. Sadly, even having an opinion or a voice or even wanting to be someone that educates or helps or anyone that puts themselves in any kind of role in the public based on an agenda, whether it's good or bad, you're right. It makes all of us targets, anyone willing to speak, because there's someone out there that has been convinced that you are so wrong and so evil because you don't agree with what they say that you deserve to die for it. Now, ain't that something else? That is some messed up ish. Right
well,
there.
but that's been around. That's nothing new. The world has been this way. That people don't like you for whatever reason or what you said, didn't do. The world has always been this way. Always.
You're right.
People unalive people for the smallest of reasons.
Sometimes no reason at all, just for the sake
of that's my point, is that people hurt each other every day. You know, I don't want to seem like I'm making light of what happened yesterday, but in logistics, there are people who are dead now, and they weren't doing anything but minding their business.
Yeah.
You know, you're in your house minding your business. Somebody decides to break in. You didn't invite them over. You don't know them. You're pumping gas, and somebody decides to, you know, unalive you and steal your car. Everybody's not on the same mind, on the same, you know, mode of thinking.
Or go jogging through a park thinking you've done it 100 times. You know that area, you know the people in that area every day, and ending up halfway in a drainage ditch, unalived. All the same, Queen. I mean, it's just, is there no safe place left in this world? Have we really gotten this evil? Like, have we silenced our voices speaking out against this kind of crap to the point and let them divide us to the point that this is all that's left? It blows my mind. It blows my mind. Wow. Sorry, wow, How? Mm-mm-mm.
But that is extremely close to someone's head. I mean, that is actually, they did impact his general head area, if you will, as a grazing shot. But frankly, it's going to come down to if he had not turned his head a certain way at exactly the time, this could be a catastrophic situation. This could have been it could have been a fatal shot. So that's going to be talked about a lot in the coming days, weeks, months, is just how close this thing came. And of course, that will also go to how did the sniper get in position? How did the sniper get so close? Did they know the sniper was there? As there are some indications that they may have actually had the sniper under observation for some time before, and it's not quite sure how much time before shots were fired. So these are all things that they're going to have to look at very closely, because we look at it now, and it's certainly the what happened, the wound, if you will, was not that serious, but it could have been catastrophic, and it was very close to that. It was just a matter of trajectory and ballistics, and the former president, is very fortunate that nothing worse happened. Of course, if you needed an idea of just how bad it could have been, well, obviously there were those in the bleachers around the president. There was a fatality, and a couple of people were critically injured or seriously injured. And so it does give you a sense for just how serious this could have been.
Hey, I mean, Hal, he's running for president again. He's 78 years old. He was shot in the ear by an attempted assassination today, and he's walking off of his plane. This was in New Jersey, from what I am told here. So presumably he's maybe going to his club there in Bedminster for the night. We're about a day away from the RNC in Milwaukee. And there he is, walking down. I mean, I don't want to kind of philosophize here or rhapsodize about this, but the outcome of what it could have been, Hal, to your point about how different this night could have been. Yes, there is someone dead. The shooter is dead as well. 2 people injured. The investigation is ongoing, but Trump is there, walking down Trump Force 1.
He's, he has come through this. There's I'm sure, I think he's pretty strong-willed, and I think you saw that when he popped up. He immediately put his fist up in the air, and he was basically, despite everything that was going on, despite the threat to his life, he wanted to make sure that everyone saw that he was unbowed by what had just occurred, and those pictures will be circulating for quite some time, certainly throughout the campaign. But the fact that here he is getting off Air Force One, walking down, as if it's business as usual, I think a lot of his supporters will be looking at that, saying, okay, that's President Trump, and they're looking at, and I'm not surprised. But the reality is, he's whatever else is said, he probably does need to talk to somebody.
Okay, that's my question. Hal, that's my question. I mean, will Trump be interviewed by the FBI, by the Secret Service, by the State Police?
Absolutely. He's going to be interviewed by everybody. I'm talking to somebody, when you come out of an experience like that, even if you're not injured that seriously, you need to talk to somebody, because that will have an effect on you over time. And right now, he's just, you get out of it and you go, okay, you shake it off and you move on. But you do need to kind of process what has happened there. But he's going to get a chance to process the whole thing as part of the investigation. The FBI is going to be, is leading the investigation. Just to point out, the FBI has the robust and investigative capabilities. They have more investigators, they have more analysts, they have more scientific capabilities, they have all these things that they can do. Secret Service is a pretty significant organization.
Yeah.
They can do a lot of things, but they are not as big by a long stretch as the FBI. And so the FBI is going to be doing the investigation of what's going on and looking for other possible, threads, if you will, to lead to others that might be involved or knew what was going on and everything else involved. Plus, this is kind of what they do with terror.
So the suspected shooter is a 20-year-old. They have not released his name, but on the bottom of the screen it says he is a 20-year-old male, and I believe he is also
all the time, so they'll be involved.
Hold on.
Of course, ATF, as you saw, was on the podium. They're going to be looking at the weapon. And
yes, the 20-year-old is from Butler, Pennsylvania. So he's from the town. So imagine if he was born there, his family, friends living there, everyone's going to know who he is once they release his names. I'm sure they're notifying Ken. Ken has probably already been notified. This should be an interesting hayride from here on out.
And working all of the issues from that standpoint with the weapon, the ballistics, all those things as well, bringing a lot of capability to work. And then, of course, you have, it's not just the former president. You also have someone who was killed. You have two other people who were shot. And that's a local jurisdiction investigation. So they'll be working very closely. Pennsylvania State Police was up there, but also the local authorities in Butler will be working very closely together to do an investigation, a criminal investigation, as far as everything there. So it's somewhere out there is a joint operations center that has been set up where they're working through all the details on this. And I would imagine at this time, because of what's occurred, that is probably transitioned to an FBI lead. Because the security side has been addressed. It's now the investigative side that takes precedence.
So Hal, more details from the Associated Press and Fox News about the suspected shooter. It's been identified as a 20-year-old male from the local Butler County area. And as we know, we don't know that person's name just yet, but just wanted to be more precise in our reporting there. A 20-year-old male from the Butler County, Pennsylvania area, 20 years old only here, and what a stunning development right now. And we don't know their name just yet. We're waiting for law enforcement to divulge that. They want to make it very clear that they know who it is before they tell the wider public who it is. There are some reports out there with a name. We're not going to do that yet. We're going to wait for law enforcement or Fox or the Associated Press. Hal, I want to talk about security posture, though, going into the rally. There was a lot of questions at the briefing about it, about whether or not they had gotten any, tips or suggestions or alerts before the rally. And then in the wake of the shooting, it became an active crime scene. And they had to use, from what we were told or what we heard, bomb technicians to make sure some of these bags that were left in the rally site, now an active crime scene, were safe and were benign, so to speak here. Also, Jennifer Griffin reporting this, Hal. Secret Service protection for former President Trump was strengthened recently, normal as RNC convention approached, suggesting that DHS rejected a request by the Trump team for more protection. Is not true. Hal, you and I were talking about protection for not only, a former president, obviously you get protection for the rest of your life, but presidential candidates themselves here. The governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, the Democrat, has this here. We're going to put that up here because we're talking about Secret Service protection, Hal, or other presidential candidates here. There we go. Jared Polis, he's the governor of Colorado. He says, I encourage POTUS to immediately provide Secret Service protection for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Of course, we know the last presidential candidate to be assassinated was Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s father, Robert F. Kennedy, June 4th, 1968, the Ambassador Hotel there in California. And so do you think this is going to be standard operating procedure for presidential campaigns to come? Even an independent candidate should get Secret Service protection?
I think you're going to see a broadening of what they do. They have a different, it's not party affiliation that determines Secret Service protection as much as where the candidate is, the viability of the candidate. One of the things they have to do at the beginning of the primary season is a little bit of triage because we've had past elections where the things start up and you can have, a dozen plus more candidates out there. And of course, if you ever, whenever you vote and you look at all the people listed on the ballot, you realize there's a lot of people who are running for president, and those people are not under any threat. But, for example, and I don't mean to pick on them, but I don't think there's any particular threat to the candidate for the Transcendental Meditation Party. That's just probably one where they would say they don't need Secret Service protection. But they are going to be looking a lot harder at things like the F. Kennedy Jr. decision. That was very controversial when they decided not to give him protection. He is up there he has he polls high enough that one would think that he would rate it. And I would be very surprised if tomorrow they don't turn around and say, yes, he's getting protection.
All right, Kemper, we're going to have to leave it at that. Can't thank you enough. You've been providing excellent expertise and insight and analysis on this very, very tragic day in our nation's history, Hal. We'll probably be talking again very, very soon, Hal. Have a good night.
Okay, you too, Andrew.
All right, like I said, we are almost at the top of the hour, almost 10 o'clock here on the West Coast, almost 1 a.m. there in Butler, Pennsylvania. Right now, though, speaking of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he appeared today on with Sean Hannity there on the Fox News channel with his reaction to this attempted assassination of the former president here. I want to play that for you. That's about 10 minutes, and so you can watch it as well as we continue to follow this story into the very early morning hours. Let's watch.
2024 presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is with us. Mr. Kennedy, great to have you. Thank you for being with us. I know we have our political differences, and that's fine. That's not what tonight is all about. There came a moment where there were a couple of moments where you had requested Secret Service protection, and you are a legitimate presidential candidate. Sir, I went to bat. I'm pretty sure you're aware. I was pretty outspoken about this. When you had requested that protection, you lost your father, you lost your uncle to assassination. And I was shocked that they did not give that to you. And I said, you deserve that at the time. And I believe that today. And I hope they re-examine that question tonight, first thing in the morning, and you get the proper protection that you need. We've got to protect every presidential candidate. But, coming from your family and your background and your personal experience, what was your reaction to today?
Well, my reaction is, Sean, that Americans can kind of take a step back and take a breath and say, it's time to end the vitriol. You were talking about, and Laura was talking about just the anger from both sides, from the media, and people pointing to other political candidates and saying they're going to be the end of the republic, they're going to be the end of democracy, and that kind of poison feeds into this. When my uncle was killed, I was 10 years old, and the morning that he landed in Dallas, there were posters all over Dallas, and a friend made a newspaper which had his picture on it saying wanted dead or alive. And that was the gestalt of that time. It was driven by anger, and in many ways, his murder was a product of that anger. When my father was killed, it was the same time. It was the most divisive time in American history. It was very much like today. Most divisive since the Civil War. There were riots in over 100 cities that summer. Martin Luther King was killed 2 months before my father. People were being shot on college campuses. And that anger laid the foundation for my father's murder. And, after President Kennedy's murder, there was a time of regrouping, and there was a time where Americans said to each other, we have to stop this. We have to start looking at each other as part of a big family. We can have differences with each other without despising each other. We are the exemplary democracy of the world. We can't allow our country to devolve into violence. We are better than that, and everybody on both sides. And I'm not talking about the other media, but also you and me and all of us are complicit in some ways in what happened tonight. And I think all of us have to sort of step back now and say, how do we change the tone of this whole campaign? How do we change the tone of the political dialogue in this country and start to forgive each other, to reconcile, to love each other again, and to see each other, to be able to have differences with each other without wanting to murder each other?
Yeah. Let's go back. How old were you when your father was assassinated? How old were you when your uncle was assassinated?
I was 10 years old when my uncle was assassinated, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I was with his body in the Cathedral in the East Room of the White House. I was in the funeral procession, and I remember every noted moment of it. I was 14.
Whew, I want to stop there because I've been on a few hours. So I'm going to cut this live short.
Thank you for having me, Queen.
Research. Okay.
As always, many blessings.
Okay, you too, dear. Bye-bye.
Always. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. It's been an eventful day. We're in a new day now. Mercy. It's after 1 here, East Tennessee time. Today was supposed to be my rest day, but I see I was not getting any rest pertaining to all this excitement that took place in Pennsylvania. When I get more information, I'm gonna let this day just roll on out since it's a new day, and then I'll gather my thoughts because I had other things planned, other content that I wanted to digest. So I'll have to try to squeeze those other updates in some type of way. How I don't know, but we will figure it out. We will figure it out. We will figure it out. Well, okay, Barb, thank you. So I'll come back probably later today, Sunday of all days, to bring more information and more updates on the people who were wounded, to see their status, get an update on how they're doing. Let some hours go by, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of content as you're hearing these representatives speaking on, doing all the ballistics and what's gathered on the perpetrator. So we'll wait to see. This will probably be a winded update, naturally, considering the circumstances. But I don't know. I have strong feelings about a lot of things that were said during this live stream. And as I've told people, and people who know me know, I don't talk politics because I know how people get crunk real quick in what they believe. And a lot of times the people who get the most crunk are the same ones who will say what other people should and shouldn't be saying and doing. So that's why I don't like talking politics, because I know how people get real ignorant and get all functified on what they think. And so one thing I tell people, I just am not about to argue with anybody about anything. I think what I want to think, and that's me. You entitled to think how you want to think. That's your prerogative. But that's the one thing people need to understand. You can't make somebody think like how you think. You can't make somebody agree with how you navigate. That's the point. Everybody wasn't raised the same. Everybody's not living the same life. And most people judge their opinions according to how they live. So if you don't live a certain way, you don't know what a person's got going on for them to even feel the way they feel about the world itself. no matter how people are identifying themselves as, as I said, Democrat, Republican, black, white, blue, you're not walking in somebody's shoes. So you don't know what they got going on for why they may even feel the way they feel about a person. And as I said, I do feel like everybody has to stand account for what they do, what they say. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. A lot of problems that people have in the world, as I call it, it's called retribution. You get a lot of things back that you put out in the universe, and a lot of people don't want to own that. A lot of people do not want to own that the shit you do, you got to get that back. So it's easy to say what somebody shouldn't be doing. Nobody should be shooting nobody. Nobody should be beating nobody up. Nobody should be stabbing anybody. But we also know that you can put things out in the universe that comes back 7 times fold. You call it what you want. Work of the devil, work of God, it's your perception. But you got to own your part you play out here. And a lot of people don't want to accept that. And I see this a lot. I see it a lot in the comments. There's no accountability. It's just all, well, you shouldn't do that. Well, we already know that already. We already know what people should and shouldn't be doing. But then somebody's going to disagree and say, oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I don't care that they did that. You're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of that unfold here in the next month or two. You're going to see that. The world is it's just the way it is. One thing about me, how I live, I don't let nothing out here dictate my thought process. Because I know ain't nobody out here living for Queen and they don't walk in my shoes. So I don't knock myself out according to what's going on at the White House, Tennessee State Capitol, or the city government. I may not like the things I'm hearing. I may disagree with what a decision was made, a law, but what can I do about it? I can write, I can stomp, I can holler. But in the end, I can't make somebody change something. I can't make somebody think the way I think they should think like me. It doesn't work like that. And that's what people need to understand. You can't make somebody do what you think they should do. And that's where all this other behavior comes. Somebody don't like something you're doing. Somebody don't like the rhetoric you're spinning. So now they want to handle business. I don't know this person who is no longer alive. I don't know his motivation. And in the end, it doesn't even really matter who he identified with or as. That's just a symptom. In the end, there are going to be people who aren't going to care who the boy is, where he came from, what he had going on. It's just going to be people who aren't going to care. And that's that. Thank you for joining me. You all have a wonderful day. Stay cool, stay hydrated. I'll be back with more stimulating content. Wanda was talking about social media in the chat, and that was so funny she would mention that. I've got that topic on my list because there's a case I found the other day of a black man who has lost custody of his children because he filmed his kids and posted them to YouTube. And he was making money, naturally, he was monetized. And so the wife went and complained to the judge, and he's lost custody of his children. He's allowed only one supervised day out of the week to talk to his children. And she feels as if he has been using their children for monetary gain for himself. And I do remember looking at one of his, they had zoomed in on his channel or Facebook post or something, and I did see something. There was a GoFundMe page up there at the time when he had the kids. And I thought, well, what did he need a GoFundMe for? So I was curious about that. And then he was like, well, I got bills to pay. I've got the kids in private school, blah, blah, blah. Naturally he has a house. So now he's doomed. He's going to have to go out here like everybody else and work a full-time job and live. I don't know if he used the YouTube money as his sole money, but naturally when you first start out, you don't have a lot of viewers and subscribers. So you got to go out here and work or do something So now he has no children. He has no YouTube channel because the judge ordered all videos to come down. So the only content that he can make is basically just talk about why he ain't got his kids and how it ain't right he ain't got his kids. That's the topic I want to talk about. How far you go with social media, because that also came up during this commentary pertaining to Donald Trump. As I said, what you put out into the universe, you have to stand account. You may not think there's anything wrong with what you're doing, what you're saying. Well, somebody found fault. His wife, ex-wife found fault. Baby's mother, you're using the kids. That's my perception. Took it before a judge. The judge agreed and also made him take the videos down. So now he can't make any money with the kids. Repeat. He cannot film his children, period. Ever. No filming of the children on social media. Don't show them nothing. One of the complaints that the judge addressed during the hearing is that you were filming your children in vulnerable situations, such as taking them to the doctor, which the judge felt was not right. The children had privacy to go to the doctor. And I will agree with her, because there are a lot of people who I see post their children at the doctor's office crying, sucking on a lollipop. And, you do have to ask yourself, how far is too far with filming every moment? Because, even lately, I'm going to say this about a certain judge that was on TV. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. And her husband left her recently, and she just gets up on YouTube every day filming hell with sleep in her eye, groggy. And I'm just thinking, hey, take a shower, wash your face, drink some coffee. You ain't got to be in front of this camera crawling out of bed. I mean, this is what people don't understand about social media. You got to know when to turn this off. You ain't got to be walking around in your pajamas going live. So, same thing with these kids. Is it necessary for me to see the kids at the doctor's office? Do I need you watch you filming the children getting a shot? So I guess the judge said, you've gone too far. And I'm going to stop all of it. Take every video down. So he probably was very sick, depending on how many subscribers he had, the following he had, and how much money he was possibly generating here on YouTube. The judge put a stop to all of that. So if he talks about anything right now, it's probably just about his life without his children. And he probably, still can build the platform up with what he has to say about what the judge rendered. But that's going to be one of my next upcoming videos, because I still have another video I want to talk about with Taylor Casey. I want to talk about the pink case I saw in the video. As I told the chat the other night, I zoomed in on that video of the tent and saw her pink case on the floor. And I'd like to know why her phone was out of that case. Is it relevant? Because nobody's mentioned that. And I also want to discuss the video that somebody's dug up. And then some other person has made a video about a white man who went missing at the ashram years ago. I want to do some research on him. And I'm going to tie it all in together with the ashram, missing people on the island. Who else is going missing from the ashram with this one guy who went missing? What happened to him? I want to talk about people missing in general in the Bahamas. And I want to talk about what the ashram knows as far as the patrons and the staff. Because I do believe there's more to the story. Somebody at the ashram knows exactly what happened to Taylor. I'm going to bet my bottom dollar. Somebody knows something, because their stories are conflicting with the time and the zipping up of tents. There's something really off with that. So that's the live I had planned, semi-planned for yesterday, but got distracted with this Trump shooting. So that's the next live I want to discuss. I want to get that one out of the way. I also want to talk about Mr. Muir, who's now out of jail, he and his wife, and he decided to go on to Pastor Dow's live stream to speak Friday once he got out of jail. Couldn't wait to go live like everybody else. And I played a little bit of that content. I did an upload. It's already in the YouTube queue. Feel free to check it out. And everything's about him. I cut it off after a few minutes because, once again, there's no mentioning of the children. There's no accountability for beating the kids. So that's what I'm talking about. Everybody's talking about themselves. There's no accountability. But everybody wants empathy and sympathy. But you don't want to own your part of what you're putting out in the universe. And that's where I have the problem. And when I see people who don't have any empathy, then I can't feel sorry for them. Why should I? Because you have to own your part in the things that you do out here. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $McGangie129, Cash App, stickers, and chats are welcome during the live stream. Thank you all for your time. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back with more content, and I'll see you the next live.